In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, gang, what's going on? What's happening? Everybody filter in. We're starting the show. We're starting it right up. Happy Sunday, everybody. Appreciate you for joining us once again. This is Blunt Politics. My name's Brian. Just make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel on the way in. That would be fantastic. I think we're like less than 400 maybe so away, roughly about 500 away from 20K, if I'm not mistaken, last time I checked in. So I appreciate you guys getting me that far. We got a lot to talk about. It is Sunday, 17 May 2026. We'll be diving into the news, the articles, the reports, the rumors, the nonsense, all of it right here at Blunt Politics. I appreciate you guys for joining me. But before we dive into the crazy stories that we'll be talking about, what do you say we bring in the chat for a little screen time? Like I said, you guys always deserve some screen time. What's going on, Patrick? Congratulations, my friend. 25 months. Let's go. Financial backing is overrated. Let's fucking go. I appreciate you, P. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. What's going on, Bonnie? I see you down there on YouTube. What's happening? Appreciate you guys. What's up, Namaste? What's up, Julie? What's up, Tina? El Rondo, what's up, Tiff? See you down there. What's going on, Suze? I see you on Twitch. Thank you to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Substack, the whole 9 yards for joining us here. I really do appreciate it. What are we going to be talking about today? I should know. Since I set up the show, you'd think I'd know. But let's go over a little bit of what we're talking about today. Obviously, some Iran war updates. We're going to be discussing that a lot. So obviously Israel's ongoing attacks on Lebanon. There's a new death toll coming out of that story, coming out of those fights and those attacks that we'll be speaking about as well. There was a drone attack on a UAE power plant, apparently. We'll also be talking about Trump literally saying the quiet part out loud about 3 or 4 different times in his interviews and sit down with either Hannity or Brett Baer. So we'll be discussing that as his tough on China persona just crumbles right in front of the world. You know, we'll be going through some of Donald Trump's past and previous statements about China and what they're doing to this country and how he's going to be a big, strong, tough guy and stand up to Xi. And then you can compare that to what he was saying during his trip to China. Not the same thing whatsoever. We'll be talking about his insane post to Truth Social. Again, for a guy that's clearly dying in front of everybody's eyes, for him to be posting shit saying that he's like aging in reverse, he's Benjamin Buttoning, is just, it's wild to see. So anyway, we'll be covering that. We'll be talking about how basically the United States has completely abandoned Taiwan as far as Trump's rhetoric is concerned. There's a couple clips here where he has just completely reversed years, decades of United States policy of, you know, sticking with Taiwan and not making it so that China gets to dictate United States policy as it pertains to Taiwan. So lots to catch up as far as that's on. And then Lego videos, guys. I promised you guys some Lego videos, so I got a few here we'll have to catch up on. There's way too many now to get all of them, to watch all of them on one stream. So I did my best. I put together a couple of the good ones that we'll be talking about. I think Marco Rubio's the butt of the joke in one of these new Lego videos, so obviously we're going to get into that. Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire in the midst of a collapse, and it's not just, you know, the New York Magazine, it's not just these lefty publications, as Ben would say, trying to, you know, smear his name. There's now some right-wingers calling his ass out, so we'll be digging into that as well. And then obviously Moscow finally feels the war. Massive Ukrainian drone attack taking place inside of Moscow and around Moscow. We'll be diving into a lot of the details going on about that. Preston Stewart's going to give us an update as well. So make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Like I said, you can like that, hit the like button. Stick around for a little bit. If you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, if you find a welcoming place there in the community, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I think we're about 400-ish away from 20K, which would be a substantial milestone to hit before midterm election. So very much appreciate you guys. Thank you first and foremost to the mods on all of the different platforms for keeping that thing going. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you. And then obviously to the best chat on the planet here at Blunt Politics. I really do appreciate you guys. What do you say we start with a little bit of the ongoing corruption that has been pretty blatant in front of everybody's face? I'll throw this on your screen because here's the new reporting coming from, Donald Trump's $10 billion lawsuit that he's got against the IRS, now just turning into basically a slush fund for him and his criminal buddies. This is a report put out by The Guardian, also reported on by multiple other outlets here. Trump may settle his lawsuit against the IRS for $1.7 billion to fund and to compensate allies. And the allies that we're talking about are, again, the criminals that were released for their January 6th crimes, their crimes they committed on January 6th, and also anybody that Donald Trump basically deems that the Biden administration or anything under Kamala Harris, the DOJ, the FBI decided to weaponize against his allies, as he's saying here. But this is something that we expected, right? The $10 billion lawsuit very well could go into, these settlement procedures in which he wouldn't get the $10 billion, but he'd somehow get out of this with 5 or 3 or something, and he'd still be able to, rape, pillage, and plunder as he's the president of the United States. But now we're kind of getting more details into that. It says, in unprecedented self-dealing maneuver, billions of dollars of taxpayer funds could be paid to U.S. president and his allies. So if we could go into this just a little bit, I think you guys will quickly understand as to how this is not normal and absolutely deserves to be called out for the criminality that it is. There's a growing concern, it says here, that Donald Trump's massive $10 billion lawsuit against the Internal Revenue Service may soon be settled by his own administration. An unprecedented self-dealing maneuver for a president in which billions of taxpayer dollars could be transferred to the president or his allies. Trump may agree to drop his lawsuit in exchange for the launch of a $1.7 billion fund to compensate people he says were wrongfully targeted by the Biden administration, according to reports by ABC and New York Times. Among others, more than 1,500 January 6 rioters would be eligible to receive compensation from the fund. So basically, just get to divvy up $1.7 billion for inciting an insurrection, involving themselves in an insurrection, and again, committing treason against this country. They're now being rewarded for that even further, well beyond them just being released from their prison sentences, from their prison terms, right? That they were already supposed to be, fucking sitting in prison rotten. But no, Donald Trump came out, gave them all pardons. Now he's going even further and he wants to enrich them. Oh, thank you so much, Ricky. I see you in there. I appreciate that for the 5 gifted subs. Appreciate that, Ricky. Ricky in the chat there. And who else was in there? I see you. Oh, thank you, B-Dog. I see Brian in there as a new member. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you so much. Multiple other ways in which you guys can contribute. Thank you, guys, Ricky and Brian, for reminding me I should do the housekeeping notes if I want to keep this channel alive. There's a Venmo up in the corner. A buck or two is all we ask for. Anything above and beyond that is totally up to you, dependent on your financial situation. I know we're all in a bit of a crunch right now. So, again, if you just do the free stuff, liking, sharing, and subscribing, that is totally fine and very much appreciated as well. But if, in fact, you do have a dollar sitting between the cushions right now to throw into to support this channel, again, you can sit here, throw it into the Venmo, take a picture, send you right to the link that you need to. Nobody gets to take from that. Doesn't go to YouTube. Doesn't take 3 months to get to the person. You can sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me, or you can head over to patreon.com/Boston Brian. So very much appreciate you. Oh, thank you, Jess and Danny. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. Appreciate you. Hey, Brian, love you and the lobsters. Right back at you. Appreciate you guys very much so. Thank you for being here. Welcome in. Welcome all. We're just kind of going over the just the most recent update, the most recent story of the ongoing blatant corruption from the most corrupt administration to ever hold the office of the president right now. Again, we're turning this $10 billion lawsuit, in case you're just joining this, against the IRS into basically a $2 billion slush fund for anybody that committed crimes in the name of Donald Trump. I'm sure this is going to probably include all of the fake electors, right? Anybody that was caught up in that scheme. The Green Bay sweep, wasn't that the name of it that they called it? I'm blanking on the asshole's name right now. That was, the creator of that, but it's not important to take up enough space in my head. But you can see here, it says, among the other people, more than 1,500 January 6 rioters would be eligible to receive compensation from the fund. How fucking insane is this? Okay. I mean, it was insane to watch it that day, January 6th. It was insane to see that. It was insane to see people like defend it afterwards. It was insane to see people like Lindsey Graham recognize how bad it was, say he was stepping away, only to find himself even further and even deeper in the MAGA cult because he was getting chased through fucking airports. He was getting ridiculed on on Fox News and Newsmax and OAN, and he couldn't handle it. So now he's kissing his ass again. He's right back into this. Let's fucking bomb anybody we can possibly bomb, as you'll see. I think there was a couple clips recently that went out this morning of Lindsey Graham as well. I don't know if I have them quite pulled up because they frustrate me that much, but I'm sure you guys could see them and check them out on social media. Him just basically calling for, the ongoing punishment of, the Iranian civilians, going to hit different pieces of infrastructure that are vital for the Iranian civilians to continue their life. And Lindsey Graham has absolutely no problem saying that he wants to see bloodshed and more of it. This goes on to say that the Treasury Department's judgment fund, a pool of taxpayer fund reserved to pay out court judgments and settlements, would allegedly become the vehicle for Trump's self-styled victim compensation fund. The cash grab for Trump allies, reportedly under discussion by Justice Department officials this week, would settle the president's January lawsuit in which he, along with two of his sons and the Trump family business, sued the government's tax arm for $10 billion in damages for the leak of his personal tax return to the New York Times and ProPublica during his first term. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Charles Littlejohn, a contractor working for the IRS, was sentenced in January 2024 to 5 years in prison for leaking two news outlets Trump's tax returns, along with those other wealthy individuals. And again, not to basically, there's two things going on here. Whether or not it's prosecutable, right, for whatever this Charles Littlejohn did, and Donald Trump, after he's out of office, has some recourse that he could come back on legally with this guy, is a totally different story than Donald Trump as president suing the IRS for $10 billion and then, settling for $2 billion that he could just hand out to his fucking buddies that committed crimes in his name. Two totally separate stories here, two totally different things, and the two things should not be put together. It says here, this president continues to demonstrate that he is the most stunningly corrupt chief executive this country has ever had, said Donald Sherman, president and CEO of Citizens and Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. When he's not reaching into the pockets of the American people to enrich himself, he's trying to create a slush fund for his political allies. And again, this at the exact time being reported that Donald Trump said he doesn't give a flying fuck about you or your financial situations. Multiple times he's doubled down on that now, which is, again, just mind-blowing to hear a president say. Meanwhile, we're seeing the crunch at the gas pump, seeing the crunch at the grocery store, and it's only going to get worse. The longer that the Iran war persists, the longer that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, we're going to see that go up exponentially. And again, we've continued to talk here about the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, which again hasn't even become an issue yet, really, to the point in which would affect the world economy, but obviously has the potential to become that problem. So another way in which this could kind of escalate further. I know we're kind of going back and forth now. Donald Trump again posting on his Truth Social, which we might see in some of the coverage here. Basically his willingness to go and continue the bombing inside of Iran, while also, kind of saying that he's sick and tired of what's going on and that it's not really important for us to be there. And basically when he says the quiet part out loud, when he says that we're there for Israel, right? He almost says that one can make a case that we shouldn't even be there in the first place. We shouldn't have done this in the first place. He catches himself and then goes on to say, again, that we're there for Israel. And he has to add in a few more of the Gulf states, to kind of hide Israel's involvement in that. But I just figured I'd bring this to your attention here. Kind of exactly what we expected, even if he doesn't get the full $10 billion. He and his partners and the people in his administration were going to make it so that he was going to be compensated in some way, shape, or form with exorbitant amounts of money. Okay, and now as we're talking about here, he's going to hand that out like fucking Willy Wonka at the chocolate factory to everybody that committed a crime, whether on January 6th, like I said, with the fake electors scheme, any of his lawyers that have done something to help him get out of trouble. I'm sure if anybody else has lied under oath or whatever it may be, to obfuscate and defend Donald Trump, they'll get a kickback. I mean, this is, again, just blatant corruption in front of everybody's fucking face. And there's no way anybody has the ability to say it's not. I mean, he's the president of the United States. Everybody points back to Jimmy Carter and the fucking peanut farm. Well, what is this? You know what I mean? If again, you're not supposed to profit off the presidency, we're talking about profiting to the tunes of billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars at this point, just in his second term alone. So again, that's one of the ongoing stories that everybody's taking a look at and everybody's really, really obviously frustrated about. And hopefully we're going to see more and more people decide to call this out and hopefully people step in front of this to whatever degree that they can step in front of this. because again, the people are getting just robbed blind at every turn. Meanwhile, it's costing you more just to live your daily life because of the decisions that this asshole has made on your behalf, because of the way that he's representing the United States on the world stage, because he's chasing away our allies, he's chasing away our partners, he's chasing away our trade partners that we've had for generations at this fucking point. He's making it much more difficult for the United States to exist the way that we have for so long, and it's causing you hardship. It's causing you pain. And we haven't even seen the beginning of it yet, right? When the fertilizer problem starts kicking in full time, again, if this thing starts kicking off to more bombs, drones, and missiles being shot, more oil fields and gas fields are struck, less ships go through the Strait of Hormuz, that's extended as far as the closure. Again, add in the Bab el-Mandeb, and then you go. I mean, we're off and rolling for a world of pain that we haven't experienced, in our lifetimes. I'll put my hand up and say, at least in my lifetime, right? You guys let me know if you've seen a similar circumstance and a potential danger posed to the world by actions, specifically through actions of the President of the United States in conjunction with Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel that, again, have made it this difficult to live your daily life. But, speaking of doing things in conjunction with Benjamin Netanyahu, a couple Iran war updates here. This is from, this is from Al Jazeera, just giving us a few updates as to what's been taking place. It says Israel attacks Lebanon. Drone hits UAE power plant, and just kind of gives us a broad general outline of what's been taking place. It says a drone strike has caused a fire at an electrical generator at Barakar nuclear energy plant in UAE's El Dhafra region. Israel continues its deadly attacks on southern Lebanon and says it has attacked 100 sites in 2 days after negotiators from two countries agreed to extend a purported quote-unquote ceasefire. Again, we've talked about how that's just a fucking meaningless term right now, tossed around by all of these dictators, all of these fucking war criminals, to give this guise of things going well so that it can ease the market. Maybe the prices get lowered and they can enact their fucking bombing behind the scenes. But anyway, it says here for an additional 45 days it was supposed to be going on. And then says Iran soon will reveal its plan to manage traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, including charging of tolls. Again, not showing us the willingness to capitulate, not showing us that we've made any headway whatsoever in these, these alleged negotiations that have been taking place, but really haven't been taking place, that Donald Trump's been lying about since the jump. But this, again, plans to manage the traffic through the Strait of Hormuz by Iran shows us control, shows us ownership, shows us the willingness to perpetuate this war, to continue to show everybody that they need respect, that they deserve respect because they have the ability to do this. And again, you guys will pay the price whether you fucking get shit through the Strait of Hormuz or not, because the world and the planet is so interconnected that eventually that fucking price increase and those problems are going to filter down to your doorstep, and it's just a matter of time. And they've fucking found that out, and they continue to kind of hold that over our head as well. Goes on to say here that U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Iran it will have a, quote, very bad time if a peace deal is not reached soon, as Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf declared the world that stands up at the cusp of a new world order. I actually have that post pulled up. We'll take a look at that. It goes on to say that the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza is reporting 6 deaths and 19 injuries over the past 2 days, including 2 fatalities and 4 bodies recovered from the under rubble. It also goes on here to state, I believe, an update on the death toll, I believe in the month of March, if I'm not mistaken here. Let me see. Let's see here if I can bring that up. I thought it was, no. Where was it? My apologies. I knew it was on this page somewhere. Did I already go through it? In case you're just joining us, Killer One in Gaza. No, they gave an update as to... Well, there was an update here. My apologies. I think it was something around 2,988, if I remember correctly. But this must have updated since I pulled that story up, so I'm sure that's buried somewhere in the rest of these stories that have come up. In case you just joined, yeah, here it is right here. Lebanon's health ministry says at least 2,988. See? Don't tell me those concussions have done me wrong. You guys, there's a reason you guys are here. You know what I mean? Have been killed and 9,210 wounded by Israeli attacks since the war escalated on March 2nd. So again, just the updates bringing, brought to you from the ongoing destruction caused by this war in multiple regions throughout the Middle East here. Just to give you kind of an update on what's been taking place. I know we're kind of in this waiting period as far as, Donald Trump and what he's going to say and do next, what kind of the next move is going to be. Like I say in the, kind of the title of this podcast today, it seems to me like Trump has 2 choices, right? It's just, full out war, right? Ongoing escalation, or he has to taco out of this. He's got to bitch out, and he's got to just completely remove U.S. forces while trying to get everybody to believe that we've, accomplished our goals. Like everything is all set. Like he said the other day in the Hannity interview, where he said that, it's not really important for us to go in and get the uranium anymore. It's basically just for PR purposes, right? It's for the fake news media so they can have something to report on. That's been buried under tons of granite and who else knows what, and they don't have tractors. Apparently, Donald Trump suspects that, they can build a nuclear weapon. They can come up with a nuclear weapon, but they don't have the knowledge and know-how to fucking build a tractor to move the nuclear, the enriched uranium around, apparently. So, again, that's an aside. But, these are the things that we've been told. So, again, like I said, I don't see how there's no real negotiations that have even taken place that I can see. They haven't gone anywhere. Both sides may have been kind of spitting their shit at the Pakistani media. But as far as anything coming from that, it's much like the China trip. Nothing's come from that. You know what I mean? So everything that Donald Trump touches turns to shit, and this is no different. So he's kind of left himself in a pickle here. He's boxed himself in where it's either a full-scale, all-out war to go in and put boots on the ground, get the uranium, control the entire country, take over their oil supply, or he's got to somehow, Homer Simpson his way back into the fucking bush and kind of bitch out of this, taco out of this, and kind of make everybody believe that it was worth it. The billions of dollars, the lives lost in the U.S. military, the Iranian citizens that have been killed, the Iranian military members that have been killed, the hurt and the pain caused to the world economy, all the hurt and, the pain that it's caused you guys and everybody else in this country as far as, trying to live your daily life and what you can and cannot afford. So, there was a few other things here. Let me go into this next story because, like I said, he tends to just basically say the quiet part out loud several times in several different interviews, whether he was sitting down with Hannity or whether he was sitting down with Brett Baier, to basically come out and say, again, double down on not giving a shit about the financial situations of the American people. Like, again, you're not able to walk and chew gum at the same time. Two things can't be true at the same time. Like, a president can't be focused on having our adversaries not have nuclear weapons while also taking into account the financial pain that it's causing his country. Like, that's obviously asinine. I don't think you guys, are lost in the sauce as far as that one's concerned. But this was posted by Ryan Rosbiani, and it says, Trump admits the U.S. did not need the war on Iran, and it is to help Israel. And listen to how he catches himself, right? He literally says a case could be made where, one could say, what the fuck are we doing there, right? That's literally almost what comes out of his mouth. And then he realizes he has to catch himself in that regard. And then he goes on to, again, tell everybody out loud exactly why we're there is to help again, Israel, and has nothing to do with the benefit of our country whatsoever. This is, again, I believe he's on with Hannity and not Brett Baier as far as this one is concerned. But, check this one out just to kind of rehash this and refresh everybody's memory on the fact that he continues every time he opens his mouth to say the quiet part out loud. I know he lies a lot, but again, if he gets pushed and he feels a lot of pressure on him, he feels like he has enough power and justification now to just say and do whatever the fuck he wants, and everybody just has to go along with it at this point, right? So this is one of those instances.
We don't need it at all.
We don't need it at all.
We don't need it at all.
Fair enough. So,
I mean, you could make the case, like, why are we even, we're doing it to help Israel and to help Saudi Arabia and to help Qatar and UAE and, Kuwait and other countries, Bahrain.
it also
How's that going so far as their depletion of their stockpiles of interceptors? And again, how's the tourism doing in Dubai? How's this whole thing going for everybody that, utilizes the Strait of Hormuz and needs the Strait of Hormuz and needs, kind of an establishment of peace in that area to function, right? To have tourism function, to have their trades function, to have, everybody coming over and their trade partners, recognize that it's a stable region to do business with them. This isn't looking good for as far as that's concerned, right? I'm not looking at the Middle East right now and seeing a stabilized region. Again, to say the least, to put it fucking mildly, a lot of people are staying away for good reason. And this is, again, nowhere near finished. I don't see an off-ramp, right? I don't see kind of, this thing ending anytime soon from what I've seen reported. I mean, it's so crazy at this point. Anybody that's even heavily involved in the reporting on this, whether you're a podcaster, a political commentator, somebody that just loves politics, like, there's only two options. We have two options. There's full-scale war, and then there's just us walking away. Like that, people don't understand. Even the experts, the military experts, don't know what the next level is going to be. What's the next step going to be? Is it, is it retraction, or are we going to keep escalating this thing when nobody understands what's happening? Because there's no clear, concise plan. There's no clear, concise goals. It changes rapidly with every second. And here's Donald Trump basically saying there's a case to be made where people could be like, why the fuck is the United States even there in the first place, right? That's what he wanted to say. That's what he originally was going to say. And then he had to go in and say it was to help Israel, it was for Israel. But then he had to add the rest of the regions. He had the rest of the surrounding Gulf nations in there, just to kind of hide Israel's involvement just a little bit, to kind of throw them in the bushes just a tad. You know what I mean? He said them first. That was first and foremost, but it was also maybe possibly to help the surrounding regions, even though they've been bombed to shit, right? I mean, again, what's the benefit that we've seen as far as this is concerned? You haven't seen the regime change that you said, right? You haven't seen this like Iranian revolution and this uprising by the Iranian civilians that have taken up arms against their government. Haven't seen that in what you called for. The Kurds thing didn't fucking really work out. You keep talking about how they stole your goddamn weapons and ammunition and just fucking laughed in your face and gave you the finger, basically. So that didn't work out the way you wanted, right? Even though you've taken out their Navy and their Air Force, you're still getting ass fucked every day by this fucking regime. The strait's still closed. They're laughing at you on social media. What's the fucking, what's the through line here? What's going on? Right? The billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, that ticker goes up every single day, but we don't see shit from it. I can tell you that much. And here's Donald Trump basically telling you that, yeah, you're not going to see anything from it. It wasn't for you to begin with. It was for Benjamin Netanyahu, right? And I'm just the fucking gullible moron, the dumb fucking son of a bitch that put us in this position. And again, all the blame does lay on him. Absolutely. He's the one that fucking got us into this, period, point fucking blank. But again, that doesn't mean that he wasn't reeled in and led by his nose by these other fucking bad actors around the world as well. So that was him on with Hannity. I almost said Shannity. I don't know why, but that sounded even better than Hannity. But here he is here with his tough talk, right? Remember his tough rhetoric, Donald Trump, oh, China's raping us for our business and this and that. And, everything's gone from this country to China. And I'm going to be so strong and tough on China. And I'm going to tell Xi really what I think of what he's doing to this country. Well, again, that rhetoric didn't really last too long. And everybody was laughing in his face, considering, again, not only the gamesmanship and the trolling that was done by Xi Jinping and the Chinese government, the Chinese people, the delegation that were responsible for this trip. I mean, whether it was the tiny chair, I mean, these little fucking slights, right? People may not notice these things, these little pieces of optic, right? But do you guys remember when, and who was it? Was it Angela Merkel, if I'm remembering correctly, who was like deathly afraid of dogs, and she had a meeting with Vladimir Putin in which Vladimir Putin, just because he knew the reporting, he knew the sourcing on her, fear of dogs, brought in, I forget what kind of dog it was, a Labrador or a Shepherd. I'm not sure at this point, I forget. But he brought one in as they were supposed to be having this like dignified meeting. They were sitting down, supposed to be having this meeting, and he's just got his dog roaming around, sniffing at her leg. And you can tell, I believe it was Angela Merkel. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat if anybody remembers this. But I believe it was Angela Merkel, who basically just kind of had to sit there stone cold, stone faced, and not recognize what Putin was doing. But, it was that gamesmanship, that trolling, the same thing in which, Xi was doing when, Donald Trump got the low seat. I believe, my opinion here, with the little kids that were coming out, knowing Donald Trump's involvement in the Epstein files, knowing, the people that flew in with Donald Trump and their involvement with Jeffrey Epstein in the Epstein files. Yeah, let's roll out the little kids for the people that we know is going to love a reception of little kids, right? So I thought that was good. The YMCA that they had the band play, right? Some people, that's a sign of respect. You think they fucking didn't have that wasn't a nudge in the ribs. That wasn't like a fucking ha-ha moment. Come on, read between the lines here. Read between the lines. And there was a few other moments as well. The treatment by the Chinese security of the press, the U.S. press. On some occasions, we showed some of those those confrontations on the show there. But this is Donald Trump here, changing his rhetoric really fucking quick as soon as he gets in front of Xi Jinping, and compared to his tough, stance that he was taking to China, before he had to step foot in China. So again, this was put together. I think there was a shorter version of this put together by Abby Phillips and CNN, if I'm not mistaken. This is kind of like the extendo version. So what do you see if we can jump into the hypocrisy here of what Trump used to say about China, and again, how he went fucking hat in hand kowtowing to Xi Jinping in this trip trip, basically just giving him all the praise as the best leader, the greatest leader, all of this. Didn't bring up anything about, China being involved in the murdering of the U.S. U.S. service members, in helping Iran with their intelligence. None of that going on whatsoever. But, a lot of this kind of ass kissing by Donald Trump. And here's just a couple instances in which, he's been caught on camera, funny enough, saying complete and total opposite things as to the stance he took in his recent China trip.
China, they are not our friend, believe me.
My relationship with President Xi is a fantastic one. We've always gotten along. He's a wonderful guy. He's a friend of mine.
We have a friendship, really, and we just have a good relationship.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country, and that's what they're doing.
We're doing very well with China, and working with China has been very good.
China ransacked our company, stole our intellectual property.
The United States will no longer turn a blind eye to unfair economic practices, including massive intellectual property theft.
It's the greatest theft in the history of the world.
Intellectual property theft. Any progress you can report?
Yeah, I mean, it is progress, but I also tell people, we do it to them too. But they've been doing that for 50 years.
We will.
So from we're going to take a hard stance, we're no longer allow this to happen to, it is what it is. Whatever. What are you going to do? We do it sometimes. They do it sometimes. Fuck them. If it hurts our companies, if it hurts our people, if it throws some companies out of business, it is what it is, right? I mean, not really what you were saying in 2016, 2017, 2018, and so on here. It's like, how much different could you possibly make yourselves in one trip? Again. And he has the ammunition to go against Xi. Right? Again, all the reporting that we've heard of, again, the cooperation between China, Russia, and Iran. I mean, what's not to go and pressure Xi about? We know. We fucking have the intelligence, but not likely to have Donald Trump, again, agree with U.S. intelligence assessments, much like we saw with, him and Vladimir Putin in his first administration, where, he's got Vladimir Putin saying it wasn't him. He doesn't know why it would be him, right? I mean, it's not like Vladimir Putin would fucking lie to the face of the United States president, right? That would be ridiculous, but, it goes on.
Go right after China. We will not rely on them one bit. We're taking our business out of China.
We're taking our business out of China. We're not going to rely on them one bit. But we're also happy to announce that we just sold almost 200 jets. No, we didn't really sell them. They promised to buy them. Well, they promised to at some point buy them. It was supposed to be 750 or at least 500, but they said maybe 200 possibly. But again, we're going to stop all of our business trading and all of this partnership with China. But also, congratulations on our economic partnership. It's like, what?
We have about 30 of the biggest business leaders in the world because they do business in China. Most of them do business here, but probably like to do more. And I'd like to see them do more. China's going to invest hundreds of billions of dollars with those people that were in that room today.
No administration has been tougher on China than this administration. There's nobody ever been tougher on China than me. There's been nobody tougher than me on China. China's beautiful. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before. I'd now like to raise a glass and propose a toast to the rich and enduring ties between the American and Chinese people. It's a very special relationship.
So again, every day is fucking Groundhog's Day for the MAGA cult. Doesn't matter what he said before. Doesn't matter what he promised before. Doesn't matter what he said was definitively going to happen or not going to happen. Doesn't matter. It's all fucking Groundhog's Day. Tomorrow's a new day. Forget about what he did yesterday. Forget about what he said yesterday. Let's fucking praise and applaud him for whatever's taking place today. Much like the Benny Johnson effect, right? How he's kind of made he even said it out loud. He's made a very conscious decision to not listen to any of the negative impact, not listen to any of the negativity that is being reported about Donald Trump, and just to consistently try to pick apart or turn a loss into a victory at any turn he possibly can. And that's something he basically said on his podcast, and he's made a specific turn where he said, fuck it, I'm 100% in the cult. If you're not totally in the cult now, then you're out of the cult, and we're going to continue to do this propaganda until, again, the fucking Titanic sinks. So again, Groundhog Day repeats itself, and just to show you the delusions of this guy. And it's probably going to make me verify that I'm a human again, so my apologies if the screen goes black in about 3, 2, 1. All right, maybe it won't. But anyway, to have this guy who's clearly disintegrating in front of our faces, right? I mean, this guy is, again, it's like that orange that's been left out in the sun with absolutely no moisture for the last fucking 85 years to just disintegrate in the sun. That's what's taking place. So to have this guy posting shit like this, President Trump gets younger and younger every day. And then there was another one here. What was the other one where he posted? There was this one, and then there was him. Yeah, this one. You gotta be shitting me. I mean, tell me you don't think you're on the verge of death, right? Tell me that you think that you're on the verge of death without telling me that you think you're on the verge of death. Posting pictures of your old, decrepit, fucking disintegrating self, looking at a younger somebody, I don't know, that supposedly was supposed to be, I don't know, at this time, I guess, dodging drafts, apparently, going by his uniform there. But this is somebody who clearly thinks his time is spent on this earth, right? Like, this is somebody who thinks he's not long for this planet. And again, I'm not one to speculate it's going to happen today, tomorrow, next week, 6 months, anything like that. But it's clear to see his health is declining. The guy's getting old. His mind is gone. I mean, that's clear to see. As to what like the specific health conditions are, right? I'm no fucking doctor. I haven't seen or been able to diagnose this guy, nor has anybody else. So that's tough for me to kind of go into this like, okay, this is exactly how much time he's got left to. And that's why I get so frustrated at people. They try to give us this specific timeline. Like, fuck it. Okay, we can say he's dying. We can say it's going to happen at some point, but let's not give people this false sense of security that like we don't have to go out there and fight our fucking asses off because this guy may have the possibility of being around a lot longer than we suspect, right? Like a lot of our parents, grandparents, and people in our lives have had health complications, bruised hands, and have gone on to live, at least a few more years, right? Let's just say, in a lot of cases, even longer than that. But I'm just saying, this seems like even in his own brain at this point, like he's seeing the writing on the wall, like he's seeing this is, this is coming to a close as far as this book is concerned, let's just say. Or at least that's what he's feeling, because it's just not what I'm getting, especially when you got, other photos going around like this one. And again, I don't believe this is a real photo, but the fact that you didn't know right off the bat tells you everything that you need to know. Okay. I'm pretty sure this is a doctored photo, right hand up. I'm not one to try to, get AI through as being real or to try to, have to, stand up on above or beyond what is actually insane and crazy. But again, a lot of people posting this around social media and you don't know. That's the problem. I'm going to say that it's not. I'm going to say that it's a doctored photo, right? But again, the fact that you were like, taking a second look, coming closer to your screen. Well, I'm not thinking that anybody's coming closer to your screen. That would be fucking ridiculous. Who wants to get closer to that? But I'm sure you took a second glance. Like, is that really like what's going on there? You know what I mean? But I think this one is real, if I'm not mistaken. This one is the real one. Not that he looks any better, right? I mean, it's not like there's a huge fucking improvement going from what is not likely to be real and what is likely a doctored photo to what is a real photo. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's getting awful light up top, as we've seen happen. He's getting like extra creative with the way he's got to do his hair now. Like, I'm pretty sure he's starting to go from like behind the left ear all the way attaches to like before the right ear at this point. It's crazy the way he has to do it. But look at this. Look at this. And does this guy look like he's aging in reverse, people? No. I mean, obviously, it's a deluded, demented old fool. Again, seeing his life flash before his eyes, having to post on True Social to make everybody believe that he's still got, some brain power left, some willpower left. But there was this, again, talking about the gamesmanship, the trolling that was done on this trip to China. This is the tiny chair everybody's referencing. Again, another clear indication as to Xi trying to get a leg up, trying to stand one up above and beyond the president of the United States, trying to look like the strong man in power. And again, it's these little pieces of optics, these little bits of again, gamesmanship. That again send a clear and concise message to people that know what to look for, that know what these messages mean. And again, I bring up the Angela Merkel and Vladimir Putin. Again, nobody corrected me. Am I right in saying Angela Merkel? No, I'm second guessing myself. But I do believe it was Angela Merkel and her fear for dogs, and Vladimir Putin, again, exposing that and taking advantage of that during one of their meetings to, again, show power, to show authority, to show dominance, right? That's exactly what it's meant to do and portray and convey on the world stage. And this is the same thing here. This is, hold on, I'll turn the volume down and we can kind of talk over it. But this is Xi clearly sitting, and I'll get out of the way so you guys can see, right? So this is President Xi Jinping clearly sitting on a seat that has either more cushion, better cushion, right, or is specifically set up to make the president look lower. I mean, there's no other way to. It looks like the exact same chair almost, right? Doesn't look like there's anything different as far as design. So it's clear that somebody either under that little pad, you can see he's got like a little, I don't know if that's like a what do you call that? A cushion or a doily or whatever the fuck over the top of the chair. Forgive me for not knowing the correct term for that. But, under that is either clearly some extra cushion, a padded seat that is well beyond what Donald Trump is sitting in. But this is a clear show of dominance here. This is a clear, okay, I'm above and beyond what you are. I sit higher than you are. You look up to me type of aspect. But again, this is just one of the few instances that we saw here that we've called out on this show as far as, again, the gamesmanship and the trolling in which was done and shown to Donald Trump and his fucking delegation on this trip. There was a couple other pieces here I wanted to show you where, again, the quiet part out loud is being said more and more often because of their hold and their grip on power. They think it's so substantial. They think it is so absolute right now that they don't have to follow the political rules and norms and regulations that would kind of, have to make them answer for these, the negative aspects they've created in our lives. So now they can just either say the quiet part out loud of what their real intent is or just lie through their teeth. And they don't have to worry about the ramifications or repercussions because, again, they got the Pentagon under Pete Hegseth. They got the DOJ under Todd Blanche. They got the FBI under fucking Kash Patel, right? They got the Supreme Court. They got the House. They got the Senate. Obviously, the presidency here with Donald Trump. So they feel very safe and secure. And obviously that list continues there, whether it's, DNI or, again, continue that list down as far as it's, until it's complete there. And you can see the grip that they have over this government right now, which is why they feel so, again, I don't even know what you'd call it, like, invincible as far as ramifications and repercussions and anything happening to them for the negative things that they're responsible for. But this is something that, again, in any normal political moment would be the nail in the coffin, a pretty much a death sentence or something that would have to be fucking answered for by a United States president. And this is on Taiwan. Okay, this is Donald Trump basically abandoning Taiwan in rhetoric with his statement here and in multiple statements, whether it was when he was in China, he was asked by a reporter multiple times, what the discussions were on Taiwan, how the discussions went on Taiwan. No answer given, totally ignored. Meanwhile, he did answer and respond to the first question that was asked by that reporter. So we definitely heard him, right? The press releases and statements by the White House and Donald Trump's, administration coming from this trip, not mentioning Taiwan. Meanwhile, a heavy focus being put on Taiwan by the Chinese delegation in their press releases and the statements that they were putting out. So you can see the very clear discrepancy, right? Not only that, but Donald Trump not committing to the promise of weapons sales to Taiwan after a meeting with Xi Jinping in China. Like, that's not the way United States policy has been for 70 something years at this point, right? That's fucking crazy. And here's another instance where he basically tries to downplay the sovereignty of Taiwan. He wants to downplay the severity of this issue. He wants to say that's a very small island. Meanwhile, there's what's the population of Taiwan at this point? I'll have to take a look at this while this is playing. I'll look up the population of Taiwan, but I'll let this play and listen to how Donald Trump here as the United States president just completely abandons Taiwan. This is him just completely throwing Taiwan under the bus. Meanwhile, we do have United States troops stationed on Taiwan, right? Something that, Xi Jinping has continuously brought up as far as clashes and problems could be in the future over Taiwan. No pressure whatsoever put upon him by the president of the United States. And this was his statement again. I believe this is again with Hannity, if not Brett Baer, one of the two assholes.
$12 billion is a lot of weapons. But, when you look at the odds, China's a very, very powerful, big country. That's a very small island. It's, you think of it, it's 59 miles away. 59 miles. We're 9,500 miles away. That's a little bit of a difficult problem.
23 million, by the way, or around that, an estimate, around 23 million people, population of Taiwan. So he wants to call it a small island. That's a bunch of fucking hooey, okay? Doesn't matter how small you think the island is in geography, but there's a lot of goddamn fucking people on that island. There's a lot of goddamn people reliant upon the United States and their assistance here to, again, defend and fend off the Chinese fucking military if, in fact, they were to ever try to enact something, try to fucking kick off some military action to overtake Taiwan, whatever it may be at this point. But again, here's here's Trump just completely throwing them under the bus. It's a very small island. It's fucking very far away from us, much like we heard in, during World War II before we were attacked at Pearl Harbor, right? Oh, that's a war in a far off nation. They're speaking languages we can't understand. They don't speak our language. That has nothing to do with us. Same rhetoric, same bullshit. Same fucking demented view, same demented worldview that they had back then. Isolationism. Meanwhile, he's undertaking wars in the Middle East, so try to make that fucking make sense at the same time. But he goes on.
With all of that being said, if you look at the history of Taiwan, Taiwan was developed because we had presidents that didn't know what the hell they were doing. Because if they would have put tariffs on chips coming in, they would have never left. Everything was about.
What in the fuck does the development of Taiwan after 1949 have to do with the United States presidents and fucking tariffs? Okay. Unless I'm way off and there's some historian in this chat that can fucking prove like what the connection is to that. Again, I'll await that response. I'll await that comment. But what in the fuck is it the fault of the United States presidency or the United States, right? That, again, we have this issue that there was separation, that they wanted independence, that the government left China, went to Taiwan in the fort. Like, I don't understand. Like, how is that I don't know. Again,
Intel.
To try to make sense of it, you just kind of go crazy, which is why we just trying to, report on this and call out the kind of the necessary points and not try to dive too deeply into it, because again, you'll drive yourself insane trying to look for like what logic he's coming up with to try to get these answers and to try to, be in this position and to say these things. But try not to. I apologize for even diving that deep logically into whatever he said. That's my fault. I shall not do that again.
And everything was about our chip companies. They stole our chip industry. So
which again, I do recall some reports of promises made to China about chips and access to chips, if I'm not mistaken, right? Wasn't it the CEO of NVIDIA that was along for the fucking journey, right? Weren't there some communications, if I'm not mistaken here? Again, you guys in the chat are always more up-to-date informed than I am, so you guys keep me right on track. So let me know if I'm wrong. But I do recall some reporting that there was some talks. And again, I know nothing concrete was signed or anything. It was basically a waste of time, energy and resources, that trip to China, but a lot seemed to be fucking promised to China. I had it written down for yesterday's show. Yeah, it was oil from Iran. Again, Donald Trump said that, Xi Jinping said they'd love to be able to continue to get their oil from Iran, which, seemed to be agreed upon by Donald Trump. They're talking about chips. I have written down tariffs, right? There was a talk about, alleviating the tariffs. The factories in China, we talked about the $1 trillion investment by China to build factories in the United States, which a lot of Republicans, including Megyn Kelly, had a problem with. They're now actively engaged in helping and trying to create a wedge between the United States and our allies, right? Whether it's Thailand or Australia, again, trying to offer them assistance because of the hurt and pain caused by the United States in our war in relationship in conjunction with Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. So another way in which they're prying some of our allies away from us, and even small instances. Now, if you're going to be reliant upon in any way, shape, or form Chinese energy, infrastructure, chips, technology, that's a bad thing for the United States. Right. So obviously those aspects, but those are just some of the few things that I had written down for the last show, in which it kind of seemed to show favorability in this China trip towards China, way more than it seemed to, any benefit, easing of economic tensions here in the United States is concerned, because there was no deals, no dignitaries or no committee meetings, no people sent ahead working on weeks and weeks and weeks of rhetoric and deals and plans so they could have something signed, so there could be a treaty signed between the two nations when inevitably the two leaders did come together, which is what typically happens. That's not what happened here. This was just, again, a big fucking vacation for a lot of rich people, and again, a way for China on the world stage to kind of show their power and dominance over Donald Trump. That's exactly what came out of this.
I said that for years. I said, for years they stole our chip. If we would have had one of our presidents just say, we're going to put 100% chip. You can leave, you can build in Taiwan, but you sell it back into the United States. We're going to put 100% or a 200% tariff. We would have never lost a chip. We lost the chip industry. It's all coming back. And I do say this, Taiwan would be very smart to cool it a little bit.
Taiwan would be smart to cool it a little bit. Are we seeing the difference in rhetoric here in what normally takes place with the United States president? Right? He's not telling China to cool it with their, again, assistance and help and working together with either China or Iran and helping to get Iran get away from and around U.S. air defenses and the Iron Dome and to strike U.S. bases, right? all of the intellectual property theft that we know they're responsible for. I mean, God knows what associations and partnerships and deals are going to come from the fucking lunatics and rich pricks that this guy decided to bring over there, right? Not going to be of any benefit to you or I or healthcare or the fucking public transportation system in this country. It's not going to build us high-speed rail. I know that. So what is the benefit? Absolutely fucking nothing, which is everybody has pointed out already to this point. So you guys already know that. But what do you say we get that mad maniac off your screen and dive into a little bit of the fun half? I know I'm probably going to get copy struck by the majority report on that one. So my apologies. We'll have to rename the Lego version, the Lego segment of this of the podcast from now on. But we got about 3 bangers here. I think the first one here is going to be, yep, it is Little Marco. Little Marco Rubio is the subject. He is the butt of the joke here. This is from AI Iran, titled Little Marco, new Lego video from AI Iran. What do you say we dive into that? I think we got a few of them here. We got about 3 of them. I know I've been slacking. We didn't show any on the last show, so I figured I made a promise to get you guys caught up. Here's just a few of the latest. And again, there's so many of these. There's now country ones, K-pop ones. What was the other one there? There was like heavy metal ones. They're all over the place now, so there's no way I'll be able to show you every single one of them, but there's no way we wouldn't be able to dive into a Little Marco one while he's wearing an Israel badge. So what do you say we dive into this? Pardon me as I stutter my way through this podcast. But here it is. Little Marco from AI Iran.
Little Marco, bark for your master. Netanyahu's good dog, tail wagging faster. Marco. Whole government is an Epstein regime. You just a pedo protector. Marco. You bark on cue. Trump says jump, you ask our high boss who. Used to diss Trump hard, called him a con and a liar. Flip-flopper, now you kiss the ring and call it empire. 2016, you said the man ain't fit, now you carry his bag, that's it. Trump keeps you close enough to use, far enough he never lose, you see it yet? Secretary of State, but they kick you off the call. Bro finds out from CNN like the rest of y'all. You looked America dead in the face, promised oversight, promised grace, but Epstein's files stay sealed. The donors stay in place. Funny how that worked, taking U.S. tax dollars just to fund the genocide. Lobby checks inside your pocket, you can't run and hide. Whole planet hating BB for the slaughter in the graves, while he bragging how he's backing what the U.S. workers say. Little Marco.
Oh, not on the leash. Not on the leash. Hold on.
Little Marco.
Oh, doing him dirty. On the leash, playing with his little ball, right? While fucking Benjamin Netanyahu teaches Donald Trump how to putt while he's wearing a diaper in the background. Jesus Christ. Just hammering away at these sons of bitches through Lego. Not even a clean diaper. What a filthy, disgusting son of a bitch.
Bark for your master. Woof, woof. Netanyahu's good dog, tail wagging faster. Marco. Whole government is an Epstein regime. You just a pedo protector. Marco. You bark on cue. Trump says jump, you ask how high boss who. Marco, robot to robot answers in every debate. Late little Marco tag still stings like a wave.
I'm so scared to ask and figure out what that fucking QR code goes to. Anybody else curious?
2028 dreams, nah, that's his son's lane. You're the backup dancer, never the main. Covering Trump's dirt with that polish.
Now he's in a. Let me get out of the way. You got blood on Trump's hands and a soiled diaper. Good grief. They're just tearing this guy apart.
Mopping up scandals, where's your own win? 168 kids on day one, you remember that? Don't look away. You smoothed it over, pressed your tie, and never look back. Now you crying to the UN, they can't stop. E-rhyme, stealing our catchphrase, man, you sound like a moron. The audacity. You always break the rules every day across the map. Not the bully playing victim, boy. Shut your little trap. Keep the name you're on out your tiny little mouth. Choke on it. That word is way too heavy for your jaw. It's going south. Americans standing behind Iran like never seen, screaming free us from the Epstein regime. Against pedophile administration, that bloodthirsty Zionist killing machine.
So that was Little Marco by AI Iran. What's this next one here? I'm dying to know. Like I said, there's too many of these to cover at this point. This is Trump returns from China with rose seeds. You guys actually brought this up in the chat the other day, which is why put this together here while I put this up on the screen. Kind of another way in which this gamesmanship and trolling worked with China, sending him home with rose seeds. Again, knowing what Donald Trump has done in the degradation and destruction of the White House, including the Rose Garden, right? You see how they're kind of just, these little sleights of hand, these little kind of fucking, like I keep calling them, poking the ribs here, not too obvious, right? Not too over the top. But just enough where people that are paying attention would kind of, make the connection between them. But again, I tell you, these things come out so fast. This is already talking about Donald Trump's trip to China, returning home with rose seeds. And this is from Lego Stories Music. So again, let's see what trouble we can get into playing this one.
Lord, some men fly across the world and still come home small. He wanted respect. He brought back seeds. Yeah, God watching. Rose seeds in his hand, shame on his face. Rose seeds in his hand, power out of place. He said he made deals, but silence came back. God is watching now, truth don't crack. He stepped on the plane like a king with no crown. Beijing lights bright, but his eyes looked down. Talked big at home, then whispered overseas. Came back with nothing but pocket full.
Talked big at home, but whispered overseas. Is that talking about Donald Trump's tough rhetoric, his tough speech against China and Xi Jinping and what he was going to say and do if he got over there and was to meet him, compared to, again, what happened over there, him cowering in his chair, talking about how great a leader Xi Jinping is? Already, I mean, it's crazy how they put almost every aspect of what's reported in these videos. And I know these are all different accounts and they're all doing it in different ways. This one's got more of a theater vibe than it does a rap vibe. But, they all seem to kind of touch base on what's being reported as, more than they are just kind of making things up, much more than much like propaganda would. Right?
The seeds, nice place, nice trees, that sounded too weak. A strong man begging for a warm seat. He smiled for cameras, he
in the rose.
Did a friend, she played chess slow, Trump played pretend. Rose Garden gone, now roses as jokes. That gift hit harder than cable news quotes.
What do you say? The Rose Garden's gone? One sec, hold on.
Friend, she played chess slow, Trump played pretend. Rose Garden gone, now roses as jokes. That gift hit harder than cable news quotes.
That joke hit harder than cable news quotes. Talking about Jimmy Kimmel, perhaps, right? And his jokes against, Melania and Donald Trump. Again, I'm telling you, it's crazy how the depth of these Lego videos continues to grow.
Tell them, no deal on ships, no win on trade, no iron handshake, just theater made. Crowd saw the mask fall off in light. Patriot on stage, lost overseas at night. Rose seeds in his hand, shame on his face. Rose seeds in his hand, power out of place. He said he made deals, but silence came back. God is watching now, truth don't crack.
So again, that one is talking about, and this one's a long one. It's 4 minutes and 22 seconds, so we're not going to go through the entire thing there. But going after, what do you say? Is there any other aspect we could dive in? Here's him.
As no roses bloom from ego and greed, you can't feed a nation with symbolic seeds. Yeah, this ain't left or right. This is smoke in the room when leaders chase praise ordinary folk.
Yeah, like I said, it's we don't have to go through the entirety of that one, but again, you can see who they're making fun of and who they're going after. There's one more here as well. This is from Flow Lego and Military Lego AI, they've been responsible for a couple of the good ones as well. This is BB gets the cash, we get the bill, right? Obviously depicting them as clowns on puppet strings here. $7 gas already being depicted. Again, this is the last one that I have pulled up today. So let's see what trouble we can get into on this one. Again, Lego, Flow Lego and Military Lego AI. BB gets the cash, we get the bill. Play.
You absolute idiot! Look what you did! Wrong. It was a great move. A tremendous move. The best move ever. Believe me! Donnie the pedo, Bibi the thief. Two little clowns bringing global grief. Bibi breaks the window, Donnie breaks the door. Pat and Matt are running the global war.
Fuck.
You're doing it wrong, Donnie.
Listen, Donnie, our pockets are dry, the budget is flat. Blockade the Red Sea, make the fuel prices go splat. I need another billion for my missile and tank. Go tell the taxpayers to empty their bank. Hold on, Bibi, I have a massive, beautiful brain. I'll fix the pump prices, I'll stop the economic rain. I went to Beijing, told them, give me the oil, okay? But they laughed in my face, threw my deal away. Oh, come on, they were so mean to me, so mean. Now gas is $5, isn't that a beautiful price? No, you total pig, Donnie. $5, that's for our own
Oh, sorry. Hold on. I was putting in new headphones.
guys. Iran is paying pennies while our whole empire dies. You're supposed to rob them, not the citizens on our street. You just ruined the beat, you double-brained piece of meat. Donnie the pedo, Bibi the thief. Two
Donnie the pedo, Bibi the thief. God.
little clowns bringing global grief.
Look at the name of the gas station. Epstein's Gas.
Bibi breaks the window, Donnie breaks the door. Pat and Matt are running the global war. Relax, criminal Bibi. I'm a stable genius, no doubt. I called up Maduro, tried to sort this thing out. I tried to arrest him with a plastic handcuff in the lobby, but he stole my Big Mac and laughed at my hobby. Oh my God, Donnie, you are a walking disaster zone. I told you to follow the APAC script on your phone. Unsafe for $1 billion.
I told you to follow the APAC thing on your phone. God damn.
Completely down the drain, and you're still losing to a Houthi crane. The supply chain is ghosted, the dollar is sick. Fix it right now, do a magical trick. I'll print more money, 1 trillion bills with my face. Okay, look at the headlines. The world is wide awake. They see the empty tables and the cash that we take. The ambulances stop, the medicine's long gone. They're calling us monsters from dusk until dawn. Who cares about medicine? Look at my hair, it's grand. I'm the finest orange.
Who cares about medicine? Look at my hair. It's grand. $1.5 trillion crime. I mean, again, the little Easter eggs in these things are perfect. But again, this one is a little over 3 minutes as well. You don't have to go through the entirety. I think we kind of get the gist. All right, maybe 2 more seconds. 2 more seconds.
Boy in all of the land. Let's blame it on Biden or Kamala's silly laugh while we run to Florida and seal the other half. Florida.
They're even calling out this administration's willingness, and every time they get fucking caught in a corner there at pulling out Joe Biden's name or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama in some aspect, like they're even talking about that in these Lego videos. It's beautiful. It really is. Again, very well done as far as that's concerned. We continue to see the rise and proliferation of the Lego videos as far as, just really attacking this administration for the stupidity, and the different pieces of propaganda that they've put out as far as this Iran war is concerned, and everything else. This obviously the other one touching on the China trip as well. So I think these things are here to stay as far as, detailing the news reporting, the reports coming out from the news. So we'll be here to continue talking about those. What do you say we dive into the downfall, if you'll allow me, the downfall of Ben Shapiro? That sound like something you guys would be interested in, huh? Sounds like something we could, smile about, something that we could, sit here and have a good time and revel in. The downfall of Ben Shapiro in the Daily Wire. And I'll show you, there's a couple videos I have here to this effect, talking about this story here. One is going to be Mike Nellis talking about this. And then we're going to talk about, on the other side, how the right wing is bringing this back up and talking about this, because we'll dive into somebody's channel that we haven't brought him up in a while, and I'm sure you'll recognize him. But let me throw this on the screen real quick. This is Mike Nellis again talking about Ben Shapiro crashes out as his empire collapses, right? And you're like, oh, okay, Mike Nellis, he's a lefty progressive, right? Not sure what he describes himself as. My apologies if I mislabeled him, but somebody on the left side of the aisle for sure. Now, somebody that Ben Shapiro can say, oh, that's just somebody from the left talking shit about me. They want to make it seem like I'm doing worse. That's why I have the right-wing video pulled up, because everybody seems to be noticing and saying the same fucking thing. So, again, shout out to Mike Nellis here for putting out this video, again, titled Ben Shapiro Crashes Out as His Empire Collapses. We only have to go through a couple minutes of this, and like I said, we'll jump right into the right-wing version of calling Ben Shapiro out as well. So stick with me, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. My name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. You'll find a fantastic community and the best chat on social media here. So I appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you. We're almost to 20K. I think we're about 400-ish away from 20K. So huge goal here to be obtained, and it's all thanks to you guys. Appreciate you. Hit that like button, subscribe. Here's Mike Nellis. Take it away, my brother.
Folks, Ben Shapiro is crashing out right now as his MAGA media empire seems to be crumbling around him. It's gotten so bad, all the criticism of the Daily Wire that he founded and operates, that he's had to post a long-ass video attacking Tucker Carlson and Theo Vaughn and Nick Fuentes and a bunch of his other fellow MAGA influencers. Let's dive in to this insane rant.
I mean, and typically I'd give everybody a rundown on Ben Shapiro if we were doing this on like somebody else, but obviously we're all familiar with Ben Shapiro and his, his fucking sycophancy for Donald Trump and his, his responsibility for the position that we're now in. Everybody, fucking, whether it was Candace Owens or some of the other fucking demented fools he's had, working over there at the Daily Wire. But to see him on the downfall, and again, on the next video, on the right-wing video, I think they actually talk about how many views his channel's been getting. So not very much higher than we get here at Blunt Politics, and wait till you hear about the subscriber difference in between the two channels. But I'll let Mike continue here.
That Ben Shapiro posted because it exposes everything that's broken about Donald Trump's MAGA movement today. Build an independent media company that can expose these MAGA hacks like Ben Shapiro.
Well, hello, everybody. Sometimes here on the Ben Shapiro Show, we cover the news, and sometimes we are the news here at the Daily Wire. Well, over the past few weeks, the Daily Wire, you might have noticed, has been the subject of a bunch of hit pieces, like a veritable cornucopia of hit pieces. There was one from the Washington Post, and there was one from Puck. And then finally, there was an especially ridiculous one from the stellar journalists at New York Magazine.
So he tries to get it across like it's like a left wing, like a left leaning attack on the Daily Wire, and there's nothing to read into it type of thing. That's why I brought up the two videos to kind of show you it's not just people on the left talking about this, bringing this up and looking at kind of the downfall here of the Daily Wire,
who literally plagiarized their hit piece from the Washington Post. So much journalisming, high-level journalisming. Well, this morning, that New York Magazine piece is lighting up the interwebs. It's lighting up X. Well, New York Magazine claims there was a time when Ben Shapiro could reasonably call himself the king of all conservative media. I don't remember that time, but sounds cool.
Let's just stop right there, because I think for Ben Shapiro, who has spent a decade or more spewing bullshit on the internet on behalf of the Republican Party, to criticize anybody else's journalistic integrity is ridiculous. This guy is
not only that, but to downplay his, popularity, to downplay his ability to sway the minds of the people that at least used to watch the Daily Wire, right? I mean, at one point there was no way that you could fucking get away from politics, that you could watch politics, I should say, and not see one of this asshole's videos pop through your feed. And not so much anymore. Obviously, I haven't seen much of Ben Shapiro in I don't know how long, which is beautiful, which is a great thing to have in your life. Not much of Ben Shapiro is a beautiful fucking thing. And I think this is along the lines of like the downturn in support that I've been talking about for Israel in general, not only worldwide, but also here in the United States, both within the political parties and obviously within the bases of both political parties. That's kind of been a consistent through line that we've seen. So I don't know if, that has something to do with the downturn, or if that was even started well before, or because of what's been taking place with Israel, Gaza, the West Bank, obviously now in Lebanon type of thing. His feud with Candace Owens, I think centers heavily around Israel, her critique of Israel and her conspiracy theories about Israel, and obviously Ben Shapiro's support for Israel. So I'm sure that plays a role in this somehow as well. But I think he's been kind of feeling this downturn. I think people have been flocking away from Ben Shapiro ever since this feud. And who is the other guy that's involved with the Daily Wire? I don't think he's affiliated with them anymore, but he used to be kind of the main guy other than Ben Shapiro in there. I think he's now started his own thing. So once that happened, I think everybody kind of saw the writing on the wall for the Daily Wire. But again, I'll let Mike Nellis come in and continue to rip Ben Shapiro apart before we dive into, again, even people on the right, further right than Ben Shapiro, apparently, because he's not MAGA, he's America First, which is apparently allegedly further right than MAGA. So even they're calling Ben Shapiro out at this point.
a conspiracy theorist. He is a smug son of a bitch who drives me absolutely crazy. this video is 14 minutes long. I'm going to watch all of it and react to it for you, but we'll probably
We will not. I promise you right now, I will never subject you to a 15-minute video of Ben Shapiro. That is a promise right here, right now, to all of the fans, to everybody that watches this podcast, who listens later and who's watching live. I will never subject you to 14, 15, or even 10 minutes of Ben Shapiro. That is a promise. That's a reason for you to subscribe right there, if, above and beyond anything else, I think.
probably cut some of it down to save you guys the time, because I don't think this video will perform well if it's just 14 minutes of Ben Shapiro yapping his mouth. But this guy has been carrying water for Donald Trump almost this entire time. Originally, he was a Trump critic because he saw what Trump was, and then he did what most of these clowns have done, is they genuflected in front of their king as he took over their base, and he saw an opportunity to get access to more money, more power, more influence, and he ran with it. So he's an absolute hack. And as you'll see as I break down this video, because Shapiro's pushing back on the Daily Wire's collapse here, he's panicked. To post a video like this is not a sign of strength. A strong media company that was doing well and hitting its numbers and making money would not be posting a video like this. They would be ignoring their critics, or they would be outright finding a way to capitalize this. This doesn't capitalize it. This is a defensive video from a small man who is in the middle of a massive shitstorm. And I feel bad to a certain degree for the Daily Wire employees who have been laid off. Ben Shapiro is going to say in a second that it's less than the public.
Oh, that's another thing. I think there was like some 100 or so employees of the Daily Wire laid off as well, which is obviously leading to the reporting that we're talking about here. But I think Mike does a pretty good job of breaking down not only Ben's love and support for Donald Trump and how he's absolutely, affiliated and corroborated with the downturn of our society right now in Donald Trump's second term, I should say. But there's also this coming out. So let me throw this one on screen. Like I said, I wasn't going to subject you to too much more of Ben Shapiro. This is Valhalla VFT, right? This is somebody that we were looking at when the Ben Shapiro feud was going on after the Charlie Kirk assassination took place. He was with the I forget the other guy's name with the mustache, and Candace Owens. They were all going back and forth with MAGA. So we were utilizing some of his videos that were calling that stuff out, whether it was like ballistically or just because of his his military knowledge or whatsoever. But this is him. This is fucking this is Valhalla VFT, and his video is titled "Ben Shapiro crashes out as Daily Wire officially collapses." And again, he goes over the view count. You can actually see it on your screen here. This is the view count on the Daily Wire posts. So 2,500 after 5 hours, 4.7 thousand after a day, 5.2 thousand after 2 days. 7.1 after 7 days. This one seemed to do well. 18K after 6 days. But wait till you hear how many subscribers they have and how much this has kind of, again, hit the fucking dirt as far as the views for this channel is concerned, to the point where even now these Nick Fuentes acolytes, these America First, are calling out Ben Shapiro's downfall as well. So let's see if we can dive into a minute or two of this one from Valhalla, ripping into Ben Shapiro as well, because anytime...
Look at these view numbers. Let's start here.
Sorry, last video started playing. But anytime that I can highlight this kind of Republican on Republican violence, this Republican on Republican kind of smattering of tearing each other down, I'm willing to kind of highlight it. So what do you say we do that? Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Just another, like I said, a minute or two of this kind of gives you the gist and the idea that we're looking for.
A day ago, 4.7 thousand, 5.2. Oh, a little massive 18K there. 7.1, 7.5, 13. The Daily Wire's YouTube channel with over 3 million subscribers is averaging about 4.5 thousand views.
3 million subscribers. And if you look at those friggin' numbers, guys, that's not telling me that you have 3 million subscribers, okay? And I know I'm not one to talk. I'm not sitting there saying I'm a big fucking channel or an account or podcast or anything like that, or we're killing it or knocking it out of the park with views by any stretch of the imagination. But if I am fortunate, if I am ever so fortunate to be at a level of 3 million subscribers at some point on this channel, please let me know when we're only getting 5.2K likes, or views, and 4.7K views, 2.5K views in 5 hours. if that ever happens, then please, we're going to have to change some content creation as far as the channel is concerned. There's going to have to be some substantial reworking of the network of the account if that ever takes place. But like I said, if we're ever, fortunate enough, if you guys ever bless me enough, and find some value in the show to get me to that level, I promise I will do better work than the Daily Wire, and we will average many more thousands of views than 4.5 thousand. Again, I think the live stream that we do here is anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 plus or something like that. So not far off of what takes place here. The numbers that they're doing on the Daily Wire for 3 million subscribers. It's like, what? That's a problem. You'd think you'd recognize that as being a problem, but here he goes in to further rip into the downfall of the Daily Wire.
7,000, 5.2.
Oh, there he is, Michael Knowles. This asshole. This guy right here, that's the name I couldn't think of. This Michael Knowles character. He's doing that like the live, what's he sitting like a bar and he debates people now or something, some bullshit like that. I'm not sure. I don't know what this, I don't know what the video is or if he's still affiliated with the Daily Wire, but there was another guy as well too.
Oh, a little massive 18K there. 7.1, 7.5, 13.
Oops, sorry, we all saw this.
My God, ladies and gentlemen.
Fast forward.
Everybody, and guess who's back in the news today? Yes, little Benny Shapiro. And
oh, fuck. Oh, that's so good. It's so good. Riding a mini horse. Look at fucking little Benny up there. Look at little Benny. Oh, geez. I hate to give channels like this any credit for any of their fucking AI graphics because they're typically horrible, terrible, fucking just hack done shit. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good. All right. Credit where credit is due. Credit where credit is due for representing Ben Shapiro on a mini horse with an Israel cape.
What's he in the news for? You might be asking. Well, nothing good as usual, it turns out. See, Ben has been all over social media today, crashing the f- out over a new recent op-ed done by New York Magazine, highlighting and detailing how the Daily Wire's media empire has officially burned into the abyss. And Ben is not happy, lashing out at the internet for having the audacity to talk about this, denying the claims while still admitting.
I'm sorry. I know it's been a while since we've brought up or referenced this guy's videos. What's happening with the new setup? What's going on here in the background? Can anybody explain this to me? Is there some like significance to the cat dressed like, I don't know, I don't even know what you'd like, a lord or something? Like what is going on behind him? He's got a self-portrait of him and a cat dressed like a king, and I don't know what the other thing would be, what the cat would be. And then he's also got this like kitty set up in the corner here, the like cat fucking house or whatever the hell you want to call it, right? And then he's got this like weird America First thing going on with palm trees. Like what is palm trees and America First? Like what's that got to do with anything? Like, and I'm assuming the rest of these is like, his military insignia, his military gear and shit like that. Maybe some military pictures, right, on the wall. I get that much. But the cow, like if I get out of your way, there's a cow. Like what's the cow all about? What's the deal? I don't know the significance of any of these things. The cat, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was just a little taken aback by the America First. Again, this Nick Fuentes acolyte, stemming from the MAGA cult, now has been turned into America First. So instead of the red hat, they're going to wear the blue hat that Nick Fuentes always has sitting in front of him, in front of his desk that he's got during his podcast. Well, this is along the lines of what this guy follows and believes. And who's the other guy? I can't think of his name. Fucking guy. He's got a big mustache. He's heavily in the military circles as well. What's going on, Vixen? Oh, yeah. What's going on, Dan? What's up, Tracy? What's going on, PB? What's going on, Lawns, SFL, MJ? What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button if you're just joining us. But yeah, we're just kind of critiquing some of the weird background happenings going on here. It just gives me a weird, strange vibe, I gotta say.
That, yes, the Daily Wire sounds like had to lay off over 100 employees, and there's some great reporting on how this.
How the fuck does the Daily Wire at the first place have over 100 employees? Okay, what the fuck is going on here? Where places like the Daily Wire were making enough money to employ over 100 people? That's when fucking things are messed up. When Ben Shapiro's organization is racking in enough money where they can have 100 plus employees under their fucking employ. That is wild. But more than that, obviously, if you can lay off 100, obviously you had more than that.
is actually a lot worse than we even realized to begin with. So we're going to look at this story. We're also going to take a look. Ben Shapiro put out an official response to this where he blames literally everyone but himself. Shocker. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel. Follow us on Patreon. Grab some America First, America Only merch. All right, let's.
What's that saying in his background? De oppresso liber. So is that what? Liberate the oppressed or something? Is that is that special forces? Is that like I'm assuming? I think he was a Green Beret, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm assuming that's associated with the Green Berets, the De oppresso liber. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that, but I think that's to liberate the oppressed. I could be wrong. Let me know in the chat.
Jump into it. Let's talk about it. First thing we got to take a look at is, yes, this new op-ed from New York Magazine that is going viral about the Daily Wire's epically catastrophic.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, specifically this, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you for fulfilling me in Special Forces pin. Yeah, I see that on the wall. I appreciate you.
Burn-in into irrelevancy. All right, let's check this story out first. All right, so here's this op-ed from New York Magazine that's going viral right now on X. It says,
I'll just let him get through a couple sentences of this, and then we'll hop off of this. I think it's pretty evident, when you look at the views that a 3 million subscriber channel is getting. You talk about how they're laying off, 100 plus employees. That kind of gives you an idea of which way that corporation or that company is heading, I should say. So it's not like you have to dive too deeply into it. But this is, again, just a sentence or two from this report that was coming out from, I believe this was New York Magazine against the Daily Wire.
There was a time not very long ago when Ben Shapiro could reasonably call himself the king of all conservative media. That's all over now. It's political columnist Ross Barkan. Shapiro's company, The Daily Wire, is instituting significant layoffs. Its YouTube channel subscriber base is starting to shrink, and its website has emerged as one of the great traffic losers in conservative media. There are Daily Wire YouTube videos that now, after a few days online, have less than 10,000 views. Oof! A catastrophically small number for a channel with more than 3 million subscribers. The top comments all mock the low view counts.
So again, you can see there, not only is it, kind of the left press, which doesn't exist, which Ben Shapiro tries to misrepresent, trying to report on this and noticing the downturn of the Daily Wire. It's also people on the other side of the aisle as well. All right. So we got a lot to get into here. I appreciate you guys for joining me. We'll dive out of that one. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We got a lot to get to as it pertains to Ukrainian drones landing inside of Moscow, which is always something that I'm here to report. Okay, we told you this on the show last time that because of the uptick and because of the increase and because of the amount of deadly attacks that we saw from Russia going into Ukraine, there was definitely going to be a response. Zelensky ordered that response, and it looks like we're starting to see that response. So if I could just throw just a couple clips, a couple videos here to kind of get us up to speed, up to date. Not that one so much, but this one will give us a good idea. This is Ukrainian drones choke Putin's frontline supply chain as Zelensky continues relentless oil attacks. So I think this is one of those Sun updates where they don't really give any commentary. It's more just text on the screen. So we have this one to go through, and then we got a Preston Stewart update as well. We got another one from the Sun, and then we got some from Kate from Kharkiv, and then some from Tendar. So we'll see if we can go through all of the video, anything coming out as far as evidence as, per the efficacy for these Ukrainian drone strikes. And again, bringing the fight right to the doorstep of the people in Moscow, which is, again, something that the Ukrainians have tried desperately to avoid for over 4 years of war. And it's, again, now time to fight fire with fire. It's not you can't handcuff yourself. You can't handcuff one hand behind your back when the enemy doesn't do so and expect to be able to fight a consistent and constant war with that. No, you have to at some point engage with them on the level that they're engaging with you. And unfortunately, that means bringing the pain and the economic suffering to the people of Moscow in the wider general region of Russia. This kind of coincides with the reporting that Russia in its air defenses is seeing a very difficult time, we'll put it mildly right now, in the fact that the Russians are now noticing, the Russian civilian, the Russian population are now noticing the inabilities the Russian military has to defend even the most populous areas of Russia, even what is supposed to be the most heavily defended areas of Russia, the most heavily defended oil refineries that are most important for the living, for the consistency of the Russian economy, whatever is left of that right now. But let's see if we can just get through a few of these updates, a few of these videos here. There was this one here by The Sun. And again, I think this is just kind of like a compilation of the different videos, or this could be Jerome Starkey. I don't know. I have so much shit pulled up right now. It's hard to remember. This could be the Jerome Starkey update. This might be before the attacks on Moscow, just kind of telling us about the response that the Ukrainians were going to give. So see if we can dive into a couple minutes of this. Is Ukrainian drones choke Putin's frontline supply chain as Zelensky continues relentless oil attacks.
Ukraine
Slava Ukraine, by the way.
has vowed revenge after record deadly blitzes amid warnings that Putin could break one of the last taboos of the war because Russia is under
And again,
pressure.
just to reiterate, I believe this is a general update before, again, the Ukrainian strikes in Moscow. So we'll get into that, but I believe this is kind of just a general response about, what Zelensky said, what the overall plan is, and again, the ongoing attacks against oil infrastructure. And then we'll get into some of the recent Moscow attacks, okay?
In the near and in the deep. Kharkiv again. My name is Jerome Starkey. I'm the defense editor at The Sun newspaper, and this is Frontline, your weekly roundup of the most important news from the war in Ukraine. It has been a week of massive, devastating, and deadly attacks on Ukraine. Ukraine has replied, but this has been a week where we've seen 2,000 missiles and drones launched at targets across Ukraine. Some 24 people killed in an airstrike on Kyiv, the capital, dozens more injured in Kyiv, right across the country from the far west to the center of the country. And that is why President Zelensky has vowed revenge. In his words, asked the armed forces and the intelligence services to put forward possible formats for our response. That is,
so again, as you'll hear here, Zelensky, in retaliation, in response to the increased Russian attacks that we saw over the last 24, 48 hours, and obviously the devastation, that was seen from those, and obviously the loss of life that was seen from those, demanded a response, and Zelensky, ordered that response, and it seems like, we got that response, or at least the beginnings of that, direct and specific response into Moscow. So again, this reporting kind of leading into what we saw, the Ukrainians striking into Moscow. So just a couple more minutes of this, giving us a little bit more detail in some of the other strikes that were taking place. And then, like I said, we'll hop into some of the updates and the covering of what was taking place in Moscow.
according to Ukrainian media, code for long-range strikes. Ukraine is going to hit back. Devastating pictures and footage of an apartment block which has effectively collapsed, or part of it collapsed, under one of those bombardments. During 2 nights last week, there were consecutive bombardments of more than 700 missiles and drones in each rolling 24-hour period. Zelensky called it non-stop, continuous bombardments, a terror attack deliberately designed to overwhelm Ukraine's air defenses, to have the most damaging and devastating impact on Ukraine. And that Russia was able to do that in part because it had been stockpiling its weapons, because it had reduced the number of airstrikes in the run-up to these massive blitzes. And it had been able to do that in part precisely because Ukraine agreed to a ceasefire at the behest of Presidents Trump and Putin to
So again, I wanted to just make sure to reiterate that point. Okay, these attacks were coming on the heels of that ceasefire that Ukraine had agreed to, because they had the ability and the willingness to strike inside of Red Square during their Victory Day parade. And then again, whether it was Putin, Trump, come in with hat in hand, had to beg Zelensky not to strike it. And this was the response. So obviously kind of leading into that. And as you heard there, Zelensky ordering, a new response, more retaliation towards Russia for those strikes, kind of leads us into this. So this is, again, a video by The Sun. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the one that doesn't have any commentary on it. It is just kind of the text on the screen, but it does give a good compilation and puts together a good, a good bit of the views, a good bit of the video put together from some of these strikes. So we'll see if we can just get through a few of these. And I'm sure Kate from Kharkiv and Tendar have a few of these same videos as well. So we'll just see if we can, sift through some of the footage coming from these strikes. This is Ukraine pounds Moscow in blistering drone attack in huge blow for Putin. So again, Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. Hit that like button. Very much appreciate you for joining us, guys. It says Moscow has been rocked by one of the strongest Ukrainian attacks of the war. You can see what looks to be an apartment complex just above my head being targeted there. The Ukrainian drones targeted key military targets in and around Vladimir Putin's largest city, in what is supposed to be the most heavily protected city. Doesn't look too heavily protected. Or again, it doesn't look like the protection that they do have in place had too much efficacy. Again, we'll hear, I believe, in some of the upcoming videos here, either in the Preston video, just how many drones and missiles were launched. But definitely it looks like a lot of them got through and definitely had some effect here. It says the terror faced by Moscovites came 3 days after Putin's forces killed 24 in a cynical strike on civilians in Ukraine's capital of Kyiv. There's Russia's Solnechnorgorsk, Jesus Christ, fuel station was one of the targets hit by Ukrainian drones as the attack set the facility ablaze, as you can see in the background. Another angle of it. FP-1 long-range drones took part in the attack on another Moscow oil refinery. See the drone going overhead just here. So again, we'll just keep going above. There's more of this footage here. See in the background, the big explosion. We'll see if we can get an update on where some of these strikes were taking place. I know Preston kind of had he had one right here. Ukraine just hit Moscow harder than ever. So let's see if we can get some insights as to where these strikes took place, how effective they were, how many they lobbed up, how many were able to get through, see if we can get any answers to those questions. So I appreciate you guys as well sticking with me through all of the news and coverage here about the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine and how, effective this kind of, turning of the maps, this kind of turning of the tide has been for the Ukrainian military of late. So here we go. More of that to report. Ukraine just hit Moscow harder than ever.
Attack of the war against Moscow, bringing the war home to the residents of the Russian capital city. And this is just the beginning. This wasn't a lucky strike. It was the result of months of slowly degrading Russian air defense across the country to where Putin can no longer protect everything everywhere. I mean, as Moscow burns, Ukraine also carried out strikes against high-value targets like Russian trains, ships, and command posts in the occupied territories. This is what a turning point in the war looks like. All of a sudden, Russia has found themselves in the back foot trying to react to Ukrainian operations. So let's get started with where things sit this morning. The commander of the Ukrainian Unmanned Systems Forces, Robert Madyar, last night put out a note saying, quote, "Moscow never sleeps." He said the situation has equalized. The one-sided subscription to a quiet life in the Patriarch Ponds and the surrounding area has been canceled.
Ooh! I think Patriot Ponds, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of like a very affluent, suburb of Moscow, where a lot of rich people are. So again, Magyar coming with the heat, which they normally do as far as the statements towards the Russians, basically telling them, sleep with one eye open with the amount of drones and the abilities that we have with our drones now. We're going to take this right to your doorstep. And a lot of people are probably going to be like, well, Brian, haven't you been saying that like the Ukrainians don't strike in civilian infrastructure, right? Well, again, like I said, you can't tie one hand behind your back and expect to fight a war. For 4 years plus, the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian government and the Ukrainian military have been given time and chance after chance after chance for the Russian military to get the fuck out of their country, to have some either deal agreed to or to just, again, remove themselves from the territory of Ukraine altogether. And again, none of this would be fucking happening. We wouldn't have to go after your oil facilities. We wouldn't have to go after your military infrastructure. And again, we wouldn't have to fucking fight fire with fire as you guys attack our military, our civilian infrastructure and civilian fucking, apartment complexes. And just maybe we're going to start bringing that fight to the doorstep of these fucking Moscovites who feel that they've been detached, who feel like they haven't been affected by this war as of late. And again, I would have a problem with it if this was like their main focus, right? If this was like the only thing that they were attacking was obviously civilian populations and civilian infrastructure, that would be an issue, but it's not. They're going after ships, they're going after military infrastructure, they're going after oil infrastructure, they're going after it all, right? So this is just a piece of that plan. We know you can't bomb a civilian population into submission, but you can put the pressure on the civilians to put the pressure on their government, right? And again, if that's what they're getting and sending back in return, then fucking the gloves are off. I'm sorry at this point. Sorry, not fucking sorry, but again, you can't win a war with your hands tied behind your back. You just fucking can't.
Patriarch Pons is a fancy neighborhood in Moscow, and this goes to the social contract that Putin put in place at the beginning of the war. This was well articulated in a piece in the Carnegie Endowment earlier that I'll link below by Alexander Bonov, where he says the agreement here essentially was you can live outside of the war, but you cannot be against it. So those in Moscow felt like they were outside of the war and weren't going to face any repercussions so long as they kept.
Jesus Christ, Preston, give me a fucking warning or something. No jump scare warning on that one. The fuck is happening?
Kept their mouths shut. What Ukraine is showing now is that Moscow is very much in the middle of this war. Ukrainian President Zelensky said, quote, "Our responses to Russia's prolongation of the war and its attacks on our cities and communities are entirely justified. This time, Ukrainian long-range sanctions reached the Moscow region, and we are clearly telling the Russians their state must end this war. The concentration of Russian air defense in the Moscow region is the highest, but we are overcoming it." And that's the big takeaway here.
And again, it is a big fucking signal sent. It really is, right? To see that the most heavily defended, population, what's supposed to be the most heavily defended spot in Russia, the Ukrainians have this much success, have this much efficacy in getting their drones through the air defenses. And again, this sends a huge signal, not only to the rest of the world, but to the people of Russia, and especially the people of Moscow, that you're not fucking out of this, okay? You're not detached. Russia's big, but it ain't fucking that big. And again, with the proliferation of drones and how we've been able to harness the technology and utilize it to our benefit here on the Ukrainian side, you guys better fucking sleep with one eye open, okay? Because this war is getting closer and closer and closer to your fucking doorstep, and eventually you're going to find yourself directly in the fucking fire. That fire that you have been defending, that fire that you are not calling out and that you wanted to see perpetuated. So sorry, not fucking sorry once again.
Here is not just that some Ukrainian drones got through, but a lot of drones got through, some in broad daylight in the most heavily protected region in the entire country, across the entire country of Russia. Russian media Rybar said, quote, "The capital region has been under the heaviest drone attack since the start of the special military operation since the middle of the night. Civil infrastructure in 5 districts of the region came under fire, as well as the vicinity of the Moscow oil refinery, with casualties and injuries reported." The Russian Ministry of Defense.
I was going to say, you would think that if there was one oil refinery that was going to have the most heavy defenses in place, it would be the Moscow oil refinery. So to see that even the Ukrainians are able to strike that and the Russians aren't able to deter an attack against the Moscow oil refinery, that is the goal of all goals, right? Beyond the Kremlin, let's just say, that would be the goal of all goals. You think that's something that would have, be able to showcase and utilize the best of the Russian air defenses still left in place that they could have to defend against that, to defend that fucking oil refinery against drone attacks, especially knowing that the Ukrainians have the ability to hit inside Red Square. We just went through this with the ceasefire. I mean, it just goes to show you that they either don't care about it, aren't smart enough to recognize it, or don't have the ability to defend against it, right? There's only so many options.
Said that they shot down 1,054 Ukrainian drones in a 24-hour period.
That's a lot of fucking drones. That is a lot of fucking drones to be going into Moscow. What do you say, 1,100 and something, right? And again, that's obviously not detailing, and that's coming from the Russian side. So that's probably a little bit more amped up as far as how many they shot down. But again, the amount that got through is obviously substantial enough to lead to the videos and the clips that we're seeing.
It's a staggering number, right? That is a ton of drones getting.
My apologies.
Through too much for, in this case, Moscow's air defenses to deal with.
Look at the fires being set, man. This isn't just like, hey, there's a little fucking ammo storage over there that blew up and it's going to cook off for a couple hours and nothing else is going to come from it. We're talking about substantial fires that are requiring some substantial emergency responses, or else they're going to do some, incredible damage to these facilities, which we've already seen, which is going to lead to the amount of time that these facilities are going to be offline, obviously leading to the amount of hurt and pain caused to the Russian economy, and obviously their ability to profit off the sale of oil. So again, all of this having a beneficial impact, a beneficial effect on the Ukrainians here.
Blogger Alexander Kotz said, quote, For the first time, the number of downed long-range drones exceeds 1,000. On average, every hour over the past 24 hours, an average of 44 drones were shot down.
Wow.
Our anti-aircraft gunners, mobile air defense units, and drone fighter pilots are, of course, doing a great job.
44 drones an hour were shot down. And again, they may think that's kind of like a flex, right? They may be thinking that they're saying that and it's going to make them look, good as far as how many they shot down. But that's just showing the capabilities in the amount of drones that the Ukrainians are able to launch into this fucking space at this point. You're able to shoot down 40 or 50 an hour. Great. We're going to send 100 an hour. 50 of them are going to end 50 an hour are going to make it through, and we're going to be able to go and attack the target that we want to attack. You guys can have those 40 or 50 that you can shoot down. We'll send these ones right through.
But we cannot fail to note the increase in the enemy's strike capabilities. Those strike capabilities we've slowly seen them evolving over the course of the last couple of years. And I feel like we blinked. And in 2026, the first few months of this year, it is a shocking difference. We have sustained long-range, effective strike campaigns inside of Russia every single day. Yesterday, there were
degradation of Russian air defenses, associated with and compiled on top of the ability that the Ukrainians have had to manufacture drones, to learn the technology, to perfect the technology, to be the leader in this technology. You compare those two things and you add those two things together, and it's not a good day. It's not a good sign for the Russians as far as, seeing these medium to long range attacks inside of their country, well above and beyond the occupied territory of Ukraine. We're talking about fucking Moscow suburbs here. We're talking about, areas very close to the heart of this country that should be well protected, that you're now seeing clearly on fire.
3 different instances of strike campaigns carried out inside of Russia that would have been notable like once a month a few years ago. 3 of them yesterday alone. In fact, the Ukrainian SBU put out a note. Seems like they're the ones responsible for the strike in Moscow last night, where they said in cooperation with the Special Operations Unit, they hit a military industrial complex and a number of oil facilities in the Moscow region. They said in Moscow, they hit, and I'm going to put this up on the screen because I'm going to butcher every single one of these terms. They said they hit the Angstrom plant, which supplies semiconductors for the Russian military.
So he's reading this bottom paragraph here. It says in the Moscow region, the following were hit, just going through some of the other places that were hit on the screen there. Angstrom plant, which supplies semiconductors for the Russian military industrial complex, is under U.S. sanctions. The Moscow oil refinery, which again, should tell you a lot about the air defenses or lack thereof that they have in that area. The Sonetsk-Cherkorskaya oil pumping station and the Volodorarsku oil pumping station, and there might be a little bit more that go on here.
Industrial complex and is under U.S. sanctions. They said they hit the Moscow oil refinery. My understanding is that is one of, if not the most heavily protected location in all of Moscow.
One would think, right, that would be heavily defended. That would have some substantial air defenses put in place to make sure that wasn't struck. Again, not only would that be hugely impactful, both with propaganda, but obviously in the disruption of oil supply as well. So again, you think that would be, a main point of contention, but, clearly the Ukrainians either going, through the Russian air defenses or just utilizing the lack of Russian air defenses in that area altogether.
It's up there with how significant this is. So for multiple drones to get through and strike that facility is saying something. No chance on these two. The Sonorekstaya oil pumping.
Sonochorskaya, Volodorsko. That's my best shot, Preston. That's my best shot at telling you what I think and how they're pronounced. But who am I to say?
Station and the Vodoskoy oil pumping station. There's a reason those are on the screen. I didn't stand a chance of getting those right. Now, on top of this, again, this is what I want you to get out of this. Is it's not just a drone happened to make its way through and Russia didn't notice it. Their air defense systems were overwhelmed. And Ukraine has the capabilities now to not just focus weeks or months of production and operations on Moscow, but at the same time, they carried out significant operations in Crimea. Not just the country of Ukraine, the SBU, the same unit carried out 2 major long-range strike operations in a 24-hour period.
And that's got to send a signal as well. Like that's got to show not only have the 4+ years of war not had the degradation not only on the civilian population, the amount of territory gained, but also on the military of Ukraine. But this is basically showing that, we can strike inside of Moscow. We can hit all of these different other oil refineries. We can hit inside of Crimea all at the same fucking time now. Again, because of the proliferation of drones, the way that we've perfected it, the way that we've now kind of, harnessed this technology and made it our own. And people are looking to us now as being the leader in the entire world as far as, military drone usage. Now we're going to utilize that capability that is only growing by the day, right? The knowledge, the know-how, the ability to utilize that on the front lines, the ability to put those practices into play in this war is only getting stronger by the day, by the second, right? We talk about when I was in Kyiv some months ago, how they were just starting to kind of utilize the robotic ground drones, right? That we had the opportunity to tour the facility. Now, fast forward several months, and we're already playing on this podcast those robotic ground drones, exfilling soldiers, wounded soldiers from the battlefield, being put into play, being put into practice, utilizing those in real time, right? That is how, and I know it may not seem like that's a quick transition, but it is. To have to go from this one place making them to the entire Ukrainian military, recognizing the ability that they have to take away the harm or risk to different soldiers and exfilling different people from different situations and putting that into practice on a wide scale basis is fucking enormous. Like that's a big move. That's a big transition, and shows that this military continues to try to figure out the best way to fight this war consistently every single day, and they don't rule anything out. Right? They don't say that, no, you're not a professional in this regard, or, whatever, you're young, or whatever the hell the case may be. We're not going to listen to you. Again, one of the other drone facilities that I had the opportunity to tour, the kid that gave us the tour couldn't have been more than, 24, 25 years old at that point. And he was the most fucking brilliant, the most knowledgeable son of a bitch that I have ever had the pleasure of walking around and asking questions about war and drone technology and what they have to utilize to jam the Russian drones, and how substantial the Russians have got at jamming, on their side, and getting away from jamming on the Ukrainian side. And he had every answer possible. He was incredibly knowledgeable, and I knew right then and there, that these people were in good hands. The future was in bright hands, good hands, as far as this was concerned. And again, we're getting the opportunity now to see them utilize that in real time, and it's pretty fucking cool. And I know that's a strange way to put that as far as discussing and talking about a war, but it's remarkable, right? I'll change that. It's remarkable to see the progress that they've made in the ability that they have to keep pushing the technology forward, and now putting it into practice and making fucking Russia and the Moscovites feel the pain. Like, that's a substantial step, as Preston has been putting so correctly here.
You also said in temporary occupied Crimea, the infrastructure and air defense systems of the Belbek airfield were hit, including the Pantsir anti-aircraft system, a hangar with the radar for the S-400.
Again, these are just added targets that were also hit above and beyond some of the other ones, previously mentioned.
UAV control system and four-post UAV control ground station, and a ground-to-air data transmission system, and a control tower at the Belbek airfield. They say these strikes demonstrate that even the most protected Moscow region is not safe. Again, one drone getting through. Go back a couple of years in this war, and there was one drone that would sneak through. It was like, what on earth happened? And everybody kind of panicked. Now it is overwhelming drone fires in multiple areas of the front at once. And Russians are noticing this, all right? So Dmitry Rogozin, a Russian senator and former head of Roscosmos, said, quote, "Do you think there will be fewer of them? No. Their numbers will grow."
Before he goes into this, just think about the reporting that we've done already from the Russian mill bloggers that have had kind of not only more opportunity, but more willingness to speak up against the problems and the hardships being faced by the Russian military, right? Whether it's ammunition, lack of territory gained, the amount of losses sustained, the lies about territory gained, the lies about villages overtaken. We've seen that multiple times now. Well, now we're talking about, people of the Duma, people in Russia's fucking parliament, and people in the government themselves kind of calling out the lack of air defenses they have, and kind of the problems that they're now facing that nobody in the Russian side really wants to acknowledge, which is why it's so prominent, why it's so it's necessary for us to highlight when the Russian mill bloggers do point that shit out, because that's not typically what you see from their side. They're more the propaganda, let's find the victory and the loss here and try to, again, turn this and spin this any way we can, when now they're more willing to say, okay, shit's fucked. if they have the ability to strike inside of Moscow, if they have the ability to strike all these oil refineries, like something's got to fucking change here. Clearly, we're not winning this war the way that this, Putin and the Kremlin want you to believe we're winning this war. So again, that's been a big change in rhetoric. So this kind of falls in the same category here, and I'll let him go on.
And their routes and tactics will evolve. They will probe for gaps and vulnerabilities in our defenses, overload the country's production and technical capabilities for anti-aircraft guided missiles, each costing several million rubles, with their foam drones, and concentrate their strikes on one or several regions, identifying their targets in advance using space reconnaissance and ground intelligence.
Goes on to say, ultimately, they will launch comprehensive strikes using long-range drones, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and FPV UAVs, which will be delivered to the attack site by any means necessary, by hook or by crook, with help of sabotage and reconnaissance groups. This is what will happen. So again, from this representative here in Russia, not painting a rosy picture of the future and what's likely to come here. What the Russian people are likely to see, what the Ukrainian military is likely to do coming up here in the future. Doesn't seem like, he has the trust in the ability of the Russian military to push into Ukraine and not feel the pain more along the lines in Russia than they are, again, in the occupied territories here. So, let's see here. I don't want to make him double read that same quotation there, but I'll let him go on here.
This is just getting ridiculous. And we've seen this time and again over the course of the last couple of weeks. Mill blogger Romanov pushing back just yesterday. So this was a different attack. But he said, quote, if you see something with your own eyes that contradicts the statements of official sources, don't believe your eyes.
Again, this is exactly what we just mentioned, exactly what we were just talking about, the willingness of these Russian mill bloggers to call out the bullshit, even if it's not like, as direct as we would like it to be, even in the slightest way, calling out an overperformance, or calling out, kind of the lies being told by the Kremlin, being like, okay, well, they said we took this territory. I'm not seeing that we took this territory, type of thing. It says a lot, and it says down the bottom, if you can see here on the statement on the bottom, it says, if you see with your own eyes something that contradicts the statement of official sources, don't believe your own eyes. Obviously being facetious and sarcastic, basically saying, if the government tells you it didn't happen, meanwhile you saw with your eyes that it did happen, don't believe your eyes, believe the propaganda, believe the government. And again, that's kind of, turning it on its head there, and being obviously overly sarcastic.
Last night, so he's talking about 2 nights ago, the debris from a kamikaze from Ukraine attacked the largest chemical industry enterprise in southern Russia. According to the governor, there is no damage. There were pictures of the place on fire. So Romanov added sarcastically, quote, only trust official sources.
Perfect. I mean, that's a perfect example right there. Perfect example right there. What are you seeing on your screen? A big fucking flame, right? A big fireball, a huge smoke cloud that you can just make up. You can just make out in the glow of the huge flame. You can tell the amount of smoke in the air already. And it basically says on the screen, last night, the debris of a kamikaze from the Ukrainian armed forces attacked the Nevenomysky Azot, the largest chemical industry enterprise in southern Russia. And then, according to the governor of that area, Stavropol Krai, there were no ground-based damages. Now, let's just say, do you think, whatever took place underneath those flames and smoke is going to lead to no damages whatsoever? Clearly a lie being told, where you're looking with your own eyes at something different, as you can see there by the Russian mill blogger Romanov92, basically saying, well, apparently that fireball doesn't really exist. That fireball that I'm looking at didn't cause any damage because, that's what the governor said. So we got to believe the governor.
And that is getting harder and harder for Russia to go with. Again, we've seen this issue on the battlefield. We've got a video coming in the next couple of days where Russia once again is claiming significant progress in areas that they just haven't taken. Now, they can lie about that, and that's going to impact their effectiveness at the front. But the citizens back in the rear don't really know, right? They can't parse through that any different than an audience around the world can. And maybe they see through it, maybe they don't. But when they're telling their citizens that everything is fine and we're intercepting everything over Russian skies, but they see a refinery next door on fire, or are able to walk outside and videotape Ukrainian drones and cruise missiles flying overhead in broad daylight, that's a little bit harder to keep contained. Now, again, I want to stress the reason that we are seeing this is because Ukraine has focused so heavily on destroying Russian air defense systems over the course of the last months, 12, 18 months, we'll say. I mean, they always have gone after Tor, Pantsir, S-400, etc. But we really saw a spike in the last 9 to 12 months. What that has done is that Ukraine is taking out Russian air defense systems faster than Russia can replace them. So,
which means they're blind in a lot of these areas where they did have, I wouldn't say substantial, but at least some air defenses in place beforehand, right? So this isn't just a lack of Russia having the ability to because they don't have the equipment. This is obviously because of the Ukrainians' ongoing goal, ongoing impact on the air defense systems in the area, creating these fucking, these pathways for these drones to consistently make it deeper and deeper inside of Russia every single time. But there was a couple videos posted by Kate from Kharkiv. I want to kind of go through to see if there was any kind of updates or if there's any kind of other videos that we could dive through as well. There was one here from Volodymyr Zelensky. I'm not sure if this is translated. What do you see if we could pop into this real quick, see if this is translated into English? If not, I do apologize. We'll see if Kate from Kharkiv translated it all.
Сьогодні дуже масштабно Сили оборони України, наша служба безпеки України.
No dice. My Ukrainians okay? Not that okay. But it says here, Zelensky, today, Ukraine conducted deep strikes against Moscow region, most heavily protected area in Russia. However, Ukrainian long-range capabilities already overcoming this defense. Russian war is returning home. This is a clear signal that that one should not mess with Ukraine. So again, there are very distinct and deliberate message being delivered by Volodymyr Zelensky. And again, like I said, just kind of going through some of the recent news. This is obviously retaliatory strikes by Russia in the Dnipro region, killed 2 people in Russian attack. Shelling in the Nikopol district completely destroyed a house and a garden. Cooperative rescuers recovered the bodies of a man and a woman from beneath the rubble. We go on here. This is one of, I'm not gonna choke you to death with Lindsey Graham. I just know that he's a bloodthirsty, disgusting, despicable human being that just wants to see more bloodshed. See here if there was any other updates as far as the Moscow attacks. I think this was another one here. Moscow right now. Here's one of the video pieces of video coming out. It looks to be a pretty substantial blaze right underneath a highway. Again, showing the clear footage, clear evidence of the Ukrainians getting through the Russian air defenses. This is Ukrainian drones have begun striking Russian targets with unguided aerial rockets before executing a kamikaze dive to attack the target directly. Last night, the AFU unmanned system force struck a Project 10410 Svetlak class border patrol ship in the Caspian Sea. I'll take a look at that any day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's probably copyright music, but I will take a look at the footage. Let's see here. Come on, let's go. Oh, you can see a good strike there. You can see a good fireball. Good fireball! That's from behind enemy lines, in case anybody's wondering. But that was that video there. I don't know, did it freeze? Sorry. Because I want to see this. Yep, you can still see the flames. Still seeing rockets being shot. Does this make a suicide? Yeah, I think it kind of dives down on the ship afterwards too. Let's see here. Here's another one from Moscow region of Russia. Is hot today, baby. The Solnechnogorskaya oil pumping station. I think I did all right on that one. I think I did all right. Man, you can hear the wind whipping too, which is not going to help the firefighters' job at all, as far as that's concerned. Obviously, wind, one of the definite enemies of firefighters trying to extinguish the flames, only going to feed those flames. But again, that was from another strike inside of Moscow. Sanctions arrived overnight to Zelenograd in Moscow region. Here's another one of those short videos from far away depicting the fireball smoke streak in the air. Clearly, the internet blackout hasn't worked to the extent that Vladimir Putin has hoped, because all of these being put on Telegram, which again give the Ukrainians the ability to see again the efficacy of their strikes, how good they were, how able they were to get through the Russian air defenses, and that gives them the ability to do that. But see here, I think there was a few more, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think there was one here. Explosions near a gas pumping station in the Pryatrigorsk, not connected to the war. Oh, small fire. Oh, small joys of life. So apparently this is just Russians smoking carelessly, apparently.
Ох ты, сейчас как въебет.
Oh, shit. That looked like some sort of gas, right? I mean, you can almost see, what's this say it was? Explosions on the gas station, yep, at Russian Pryatrigorsk, not connected to the war. I don't know if she's being facetious, not connected to the war, or if, again, that was just an unrelated incident that somebody just caught on video there. But obviously, bad news for the Russians. They continue here. I think there was a few more. Yeah, there was something is on fire in Russian Tatarstan as well. Or is that Tatarstan? Tatarstan. That's what that one is. So again, here's the picture there of what looks to be a heavy smoke ball, heavy smoke cloud rising into the air. Ilya Pomerenko. Let's see if we can go to this last one here as well, because I think Tendar had a few of these posts, see if there was anything that we missed here, and then I'll get you guys out of here. We'll start thanking some people. Let's see here. This was Tendar says, massive explosion occurred in the Pyatrogorsk Stavropol region in Russia. Locals report that it was a gas station. So again, this is the one I think we just saw that was supposedly unrelated. Yeah.
Еба. Ох ты, сейчас как въебет. Это пиздец.
Пиздец. Сук, блядь. So apparently just because the Russians are dumb, that was the result of that one. This is the chain of events relating to the mysterious explosions continuing in Russia. This is in Perm. Locals say that it was a warehouse, quite flammable inventory they have. So again, I don't know if this is like heavy sarcasm that I'm missing, and this is actually part of the Ukrainian strikes, or again, these are just unrelated, because this is on the Perm site, which again, the Ukrainians have struck multiple times now. So I don't think it would be out of the realm of possibility to say that the Ukrainians struck it again. But again, I haven't seen that reported, so I'll cease from coming up with my own narratives here. But again, this is just a video coming out of that area around Perm. I mean, that's a fucking big fireball. If that's just like from an accident or something, I don't know. Good fireball. Sorry, I can't stop saying it. Can't stop saying it. But again, that's coming out of Russia as well around the Perm facility. This is massive explosion heard in Pyatrogorsk. We saw that one. This one is, what's this one? The air defenses of the Russian occupation in Sevastopol. Crimea in Ukraine is firing wildly in all directions. I'll take a look at that. I'll take a look at them trying to wildly defend themselves. Holy shit. So what you're seeing on your screen is the different tracers going in every direction whatsoever, in the hopes the Russians have of desperately just shooting, I guess, every square inch of the fucking of the planet, to try to hopefully get down some of the drones that were attacking Crimea. But this is all over the joint. And it's not like they don't have the air defenses in place, just not enough, and obviously overwhelmed by the ability the Ukrainians have to either, throw up a bunch of drones that are made to basically be sacrificial lambs so that the other ones can get through, much like, what's a good way to describe, like the cartel does, right? Much like the cartel does with the southern border. They'll send through a car or 2 cars or 3 trucks or something, knowing or hoping that the border patrol, the border forces will catch that one. Meanwhile, while they're dealing with that one, or they won't suspect that one got caught and there's another one right behind it type of aspect, kind of giving them what they want almost. Meanwhile, the large shipment is making it through somewhere in the background type of aspect. Well, that's what we're seeing here. We'll throw up so many drones that inevitably it'll shoot a bunch down, but unfortunately for you guys, a lot of them are going to eke through as well. This is talking about heavy explosions occurring along the coastal areas of Crimea. It is a hot night for the Russian occupation, and I am here for it. What do you say we dive into this one? Well, that was a fucking big bang right there. Tough to see how far away, or to tell how far away they are from that, but seemed pretty instantaneous, the sound traveling to the camera, so I don't think it's all that far away. There was a little delay as far as that one's concerned. But what about this one? And then you can tell, because the cameras are already focused on this, that it wasn't the first strike. Right, you can see, to the right side of your screen, what seems to be this little smoke plume coming up here. Looks like the wind's blowing right to left or left to right, depending on which way you're looking at it on your screen right now. But that's definitely not the first strike on that. Obviously, the cameras, I don't know if this is a stationary camera or somebody holding it with their cell phone, but, clearly these cameras are already kind of focused upon this point for a reason to begin with. That looks more like it might be a stationary camera, like a security camera aspect, because of the lack of the lack of commentary and the lack of motion there when the explosion went off. This is during large-scale attacks against the Moscow region, Russia. The Durykino oil depot has been successfully struck in the early morning of Sunday. Again, I'm here for it. What do you say we take a look? And you can make out, you guys can make out the drone nets that are covering these tanks, right? So these aren't the same, excuse me, like the metal ones that were being put up in, I believe it was the UAE. I think we looked at on the last show, how we looked at, they were hurriedly putting up these like steel infrastructure pieces around the oil storage tanks in and around the Middle East and some of these different Gulf nations there. Well, you can see here that these are kind of just like hurriedly being covered with the unsubstantial drone nets, right? You know how we talked about the steel wasn't really to deter the FPV, the smaller drones, but much like, you know, the lines of the bigger drones, the medium and long range drones. Well, this isn't doing shit for long range drones, okay? This isn't doing shit for, you know, the medium and long range drones that Ukraine is sending in there. Those nets are going to have absolutely fucking nothing to do with stopping those drones hitting those tanks right there. As you can see here, it didn't have much effect on the drone that clearly struck them before. You can see on every single one of these, you can see on top of them, and to the side coming down, the different drone nets on them. So that's that one coming out of there. I think there was one more from this as well. So see, that's probably the best look at those drone nets that you'll get right there. And again, I don't know if they're nets. It's tough to tell if they're nets in that one. It looked like the nets to begin with. They look a little bit more, I don't know, rigid, if you will, through that shot. So again, whatever they are, definitely didn't have the impact that the Russians wanted them to have as far as deterring the Ukrainian drones from being able to strike the oil tanks. So this also goes on to say the Ukrainian drones have struck deep into Russia's heart, all the way into Zelenograd, which already belongs to the Russian capital of Moscow. The air defense is shooting and suppressing drones with devastating consequences on the ground. Let's see if we can take a look.
Мужики, подбейте, О, блядь, да ну нахуй.
And again, a lot of countries will kind of not shoot those down overpopulated areas if they can avoid it at any cost, right? Because of this fact right here, because they still are loaded with warheads. And again, if they go down overpopulated area, it can still have the same impact, if not a worse impact than, you know, would have originally had if it got to the target. Now, you know, depending on obviously what the target was. But you can see there, they don't really seem to give a fuck shooting those things down over the suburbs of Moscow. Going right into, and was it this one, this other one here?
Опять же где-то над нами. А вот, смотри, полетел. Хорошо въебал, блядь. Смотри.
So again, that was multiple strikes right there. Just in that one video was multiple strikes. So you can see, obviously, multiple drones getting through the air defenses. Needless to say, obviously, with the destruction that we've shown, that should be pretty obvious. But in case you were wondering, in case you had any questions still, here's, again, multiple strikes. And it looks like here, as you can see, just above where you hit the play video, looks to be like a burning fire down here almost, as you can see. I don't know if that was the earlier strike that we saw where he kind of hit the bottom of the apartment complex, if that was the same one, but obviously this place being heavily targeted here, as you can see in this video. One spike, second strike. That almost looked like debris. That could have been debris, that second one. I'll put my right hand up on that one. That second one may very well debris, because it looks like it's on fire before it hits. So you can see it's already in flames, right? So that very well could come from debris of another drone being shot down, but just maybe carrying the explosive charge, the explosive warhead on it, which is why it had the impact that it did. See if we can go on here. At least one Ukrainian drone made it all the way to Sheremetyevo International Airport in Moscow, Russia, and crashed within the premises of the facility. Again, airports in Moscow having a tough time. Not a good look for the government, for the Kremlin. Again, if Moscow's flights are being hampered, if they're being delayed, if they're being canceled, the fact that some drones over Moscow can make these turns without being impeded speaks volumes. More than 300 drones were used for the operation against targets in Moscow, Russia, and they have likely overwhelmed in some areas the Russian air defenses. I would say so, but this is showing basically the drone flying willy-nilly over Russia, over Moscow, right? Basically not flying directly to its target, but kind of just scouting around for anything that it may want to hit, which kind of shows its ability to show dominance in the area. It shows the lack of ability the Russian air defenses have to take these targets out. Again, when they're loitering in the air, you'd think that would be, kind of, the red flag. That would be the initiation to shoot them down over your airspace, but it doesn't look like Russia has the ability. We'll end on this one. I'll get you guys out of here after this.
Слышно, где-то жужжит. Вон.
Жужжит. Сука, бля. Водка.
Вон он летит. Высотку сейчас ебанет. Тварь, блядь.
Тварь, блядь. And again, just fucking maneuvering. Left bank, right bank. This is a nearly 2-minute video. Flying back and forth, just kind of, I don't know, looking for a target. One could assume. Maybe this is a decoy, right? Could very well, this could be a decoy, hoping that the Russian air defenses, whichever are in place, could take this one down. Meanwhile, some of them on the outskirts or some of them waiting in, in the wings could come by to take advantage of when the Russian air defenses weren't expecting it, type of thing. But this is just taunting. This is just fucking a middle finger to Moscow right here. That's all this is. This is basically, I have the ability to do whatever the fuck I want, right? This is basically like a victory roll over Moscow at this point. You know how the pilots in World War II used to do the victory rolls over the air base when they came back if they had a successful mission. That's kind of like what this is, right? I'm going to do a bunch of banking turns. I'm going to do a bunch of fucking maneuvering. There's going to be no firing upon me from any air defenses that you think are in the air protecting you. Still going. Still going. I'm not even sure if it hits anything. Again, they get sick of videoing it before it actually hits anything. So again, remarkable clips coming out of, again, the Ukrainian strike inside of Moscow. I appreciate all you guys for joining me, sticking with me today. Another great show. But again, I'm biased. I always think it's a great show. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If there's any way that I can improve upon the show, if there's anything that you love and want to see definitely remain in the show, make sure you guys let me know in the chat. That's what it's for. Again, if you guys want to support the show, there's a Venmo up in the corner. You can sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me, or you can head to patreon.com/Boston Brian. 3 great tiers on there. Get you involved in the Zoom chats. We get into the Zoom chat tomorrow night. So all the people signed up at the appropriate level, make sure you're looking out for the link for tomorrow night's Zoom chat. Again, anybody that's new to us, and we've had a lot of new subscribers recently. So the Zoom chats, basically we do every Monday. It's just an easier way, a better way for you guys to get acquainted with the people in the chat. You can actually put a face behind the screen name. We talk about, weather. We talk about sports. We can talk politics if you want, but it's not necessary. Basically, it's just a shoot the shit moment, an easier way to get acquainted with everybody where it's not as, crazy to do in the chat. I'm not trying to do a show at the same time. So think about signing up at patreon.com. I really do appreciate you guys. There's also bostonbrian.com where you can check out all of the stuff for the show. You can check out all the dates for the Zooms. You can get all the connections and links to all of my social media accounts. That entails the link for the merch shop as well, the Blunt Politics merch shop, which has, I think, fantastic merch. I think we're punching way above our weight class as far as merch for a smaller channel is concerned. So make sure you check that out, especially as we're heading into midterms. Don't wear it to vote, but definitely you can wear it to the supermarket beforehand to spark up a conversation. Just let people know what side of history you lay on, that you're part of the opposition, that you're part of the resistance, anything that kind of gives that. And obviously, anything Ukraine related, we give back. We donate 25% of everything that's Ukraine related sold on that site back to United 24 to continuously help, donate and help in this fight that's been going on, whether it's through T-shirt sales or, helping send vehicles or supporting some of our other friends, whether it's, Tom and his sunflower T-shirt. We try to do everything we possibly can. I'd like to get Philip Bittner back on the show at some point. If anybody can reach out to Philip and let him know that I'm asking for him and hoping he can get back on the show sometime soon, that would be fantastic. fantastic as well. And hopefully we can have, great conversations with people just like Preston Stewart and Kate from Kharkiv and Anna from Ukraine. That would be fantastic to, again, have enough subscribers to be able to pull these people to get them as guests. So thank you guys for getting us to this point. Like I said, I think we're about 400 away from 20,000 subscribers at this point. Nope. Yes, we are. We're less than 400. We got 19,612 total subscribers right now here at Blunt Politics, and I can't thank you guys enough. I am blown away by the push that we've had over the last week or so. Thank you guys so much for getting this show out there and sharing it with your friends, your family, your coworkers. And again, if you're sharing out the shorts, if you've made that possible, a lot of those shorts have been doing well, which I think is leading to a few more subscribers coming around. So continue to share those out. Thank you to everybody doing that. What do you say we get to thanking people on Venmo who are nice enough to kindly send over $1 or $2 and keep this channel going, keep the support flowing for the channel. I really do appreciate it. Well, Ricky today, thank you so much, Ricky. First on first on Venmo today. Kashja refills, thank you so much, Ricky A. Very much appreciate you and all of your contributions to this channel. The support for this channel is very much appreciated. And then Geneva H, thank you so much. I really can't thank you for all of the help that you've shown for us in the last, I don't even know how long. I don't want to put too much. I don't want to put a timeline on it in case it's been longer, but thank you so much, Geneva. Geneva says, great show. Happy to see the subs coming up. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you so much, Geneva. And it's only because of kind contributions like the ones that you continuously give us here on this show that we're able to do this. So thank you guys. Thank you to Melissa T as well. Very much appreciate your kind contribution. Thanks for making me feel better about all of these things. You're very welcome, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining us here and spending a little bit of your day here with us to allow me to bring you the news, the highlights, maybe some information, some humor, whatever it may be. So thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Nancy. Very much appreciate you, Nancy, for everything that you've done for this channel. Can't thank you enough. She says, this is for stuff. Very much appreciate that, Nancy. It will go to the right things, I promise you. Big part of this channel, Nancy. W's Nancy, Melissa, Geneva, Ricky, Roger, and Karen as well. Thank you so much to Roger and Karen for everything that you've been doing for this channel. And then over the last couple days, I like to go back over the last couple days and make sure everybody gets their 2 cents, their moment in the spotlight as well. So V Sawyer, thank you so much to Jeff for your continued support of this channel. Nina, thank you with Nancy again from the other day. Leslie, thank you so much to Allison, Ricky, Yakov, Geneva from the other day again, showing what you have been doing. Thank you so much to Roxanne. Thank you so much to Victoria and Tom, Cynthia, Peter, Debbie, Moms. And then thank you so much to Jenny Faye and Corey, as always, and everybody else that's kind enough to, again, reach out through Venmo. All you do is send your camera up there. Takes you right to the Venmo. We don't ask for much. Oh, thank you, Yakov. I see you in there, brother. For the shorts, keep them coming. Let's fucking go. Thank you, Yakov. Not only one of the greatest mods on the fucking planet right now, but kind enough to be contributing to the channel as well. Well-rounded, very, very valued member of the community. All of our mods are, especially and definitely the best chat on earth here at Blunt Politics. We thank you guys so much. Very much appreciate you. And a short list today over on YouTube, but that's okay. No, it's not a short list over on YouTube. What am I talking about? My apologies. I was looking at the wrong one. Thank you so much, Patrick, starting it off today on YouTube. 25 months of loyalty and no financial backing whatsoever because it's overrated. And I can't thank you enough for all of that, Patrick, so much. Very much appreciate you and everything that you've done for this channel, and your humor brings a little light to the show. So I appreciate you, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you, Brian, as well. Bry Guy becoming a new YouTube member here, and I love to see it. Everybody signing up for new members, new memberships is a good thing to see. And thank you so much to the people that are donating and gifting the memberships as well. All of that stuff helps the channel, whether it's free or you do have to come out of pocket. Don't worry about it. If you're just doing the free stuff, helps just as much. Thank you so much to Ricky for the 5 gifted memberships. Speak of the devil and people gifting memberships to fantastic members of the chat. Thank you so much, Ricky. Always good to see you. Thank you so much to Jess and Danny, the Nickel sisters. Let's go. Member for 22 months. Love you right back, guys. Thank you so much for your support again. Oh, thank you so much, guys, for your $20 contribution as well. They say, hey, Brian, sorry we haven't been around. Lots going on. Love you and the Lobsters. We will be there tomorrow. Keep up the amazing work. We need your voice. Thank you for checking in on us and your love and support. Love you, brother. Right back at you guys. And again, no apologies whatsoever. I know everybody's got their own life events taking place. I report on every single day the uncertain times that we're in financially, economically, on the world stage, geopolitically. So again, if you guys got things going on within your own household, No need. It's not necessary whatsoever to apologize. Not anything. So if you guys need anything, any way I can help, be of some benefit, with anything that's taken place, please make sure to reach out. And again, if anybody else in the chat can help, let us know. Thank you guys so much for your contributions and gifted memberships. What a day for you guys. Big day for the Nickel Sisters. Let's go. W Nickel Sisters in the chat. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships as well. Thank you, Jackie, for 6 months as a member. Very much appreciate you and everything that you do for this channel. That goes for Mr. Spark as well. Spark, right back at you, brother. Thank you so much for the 17 months of loyalty. Bong rips for democracy. Amen. Amen for that. I think if we had more bong rips for democracy, this world would be a much better place, Spark. I do say so myself. Thank you, brother, for everything that you do. Thank you, Vinny, for the $20 contribution. Shout out to you, Vinny. I will never forgive Trump for destroying Jackie's rose garden. I was 7 years old and saw her planting them on TV, and I wouldn't blame you at all, Vinny. I'm sure that has a very special place in a lot of the hearts and minds of people that are old enough to remember that. Even people that aren't. You know what I mean? It's just a very valued part. It's a very, it's a sanctuary, right? It's got its rules and regulations and processes. If you want to do something to change the White House and the layout or anything, there's a special way and a direct way to go about doing that. And it's just not what we've seen here. This is just a madman going along with his fucking making everything gold and destroying everything and turning everything into his shitty Trump fucking manifested disgusting what a poor man thinks a rich man should live like type of thing. So I appreciate you, Vinny, and I do apologize for what we're seeing, and hopefully we can make it a little bit easier to digest here for you. Yakov, thank you, brother. Late fee, and we love to see the downfall of the regime's cult. Let's fucking go. Right back at you, Yakov. Thank you guys so much. Very much appreciate that. Rachel, I did get your I got your email. I did give you a heart on it just to let you know I saw it. I'll be responding after the show. My apologies. I didn't have the time to sit down and type out a response to that before the show. But Rachel says, and thank you for the $5. Former Moscow resident here. Patriarch Ponds is near the city center and a short walk from Maya Skorovskaya. God damn it. Can't they be like shortened versions of these? Metro station. It's a posh but classy spot. Thank you so much, Rachel. I feel like you've been everywhere, met everyone, know everything type of person, and I do appreciate you so much. A very valued member of the chat for keeping me up to speed and up to date on these things. I thought it was a posh area of Moscow, as I've heard before. So thank you for the confirmation. And I didn't know you lived in Moscow before. That's interesting. We'll have to get you maybe on the show at some point and answer some questions about that. But thank you so much for another $5 contribution as well. Very much appreciate you. It says the filthy rich gated communities to the northwest of Moscow are commonly known as the Rublovka. The designers share Trump's sense of taste, so trashy. And again, I'm sure that's kind of where he gets his love and affection for Vladimir Putin to a certain extent. Is again the obtuseness so far, the ostentatious nature of the buildings over there type of thing. I'm just guessing, but thank you so much, Rachel. And then another $2 contribution. In this house we stand, Atesh, Crimean anarchist. I do appreciate that so much. Thank you for your contributions. And like I said, I'll be returning and responding to that email after the show. So very much appreciate it. Thank you, JD, as well, for the profanity bonus. Love you as always, my brother. Thank you so much for the kind contributions and everything you do for this channel. Thank you, DPD, as always. Thank you, Boston Brian, for everything you do. I want to encourage everyone to donate to your local shelters. If you can't donate financially, your time is just as valuable. We need each other right now more than ever. DPD, absolutely seconded. No notes, absolutely. I will get behind that as well. And like you said, if you can't do it financially, make sure you can get down there and maybe offer some of your time, some of your knowledge, some of your skill set that you have maybe anywhere else in life. But DPD, thank you so much for your contribution and that suggestion as well. Free Vent, thank you so much for the £2. Keep going. I sure will, my friend. Only with your help and you staying with us here in the community that we'll be able to do that. Thank you, Yakov, again. Best goddamn community. I second that as well. And then thank you so much, Kitty, for 13 months of loyalty. Only in the darkness can you see the stars. MLK Jr. Love that. Love that. Love that, Kitty. Thank you so much for putting that in there today. And then today, thank you so much for rounding it out. Is Moms. Thank you so much, Moms. Much love, Bri. Right back to you, Moms. As you know, always and forever love towards you. Thank you so much for your kind contributions. And then rounding it out today, Tiffany. What's going on? Thank you so much for member of 19 months. Let's fucking go, Tiff. Latina and proud. Love you, man. Right back at you, Tiff. Much appreciated for your kind contributions. Everybody else, thank you. Everybody on Venmo, people buying merch at bostonbrian.com, people signed up at patreon.com, people getting memberships, and anybody just subscribing to help us get towards 20,000 subscribers again, less than 400 away. So thank you guys so much for getting us to this position, and hopefully much beyond this position. Hopefully we can bring you some value, some entertainment, some joy, or again, just make this news a little bit more digestible for you guys. If you do find some value, think about leaving a chat, think about leaving an emoji in there, leave a comment after it's posted, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification, all of the good things, and I will see you guys Tuesday for the Tuesday show. Very much appreciated. Another great show today. Again, like I said, hit that like button on the way out. I'm Boston Bryant. This is Blunt Politics. Thank you to the mods, as always, for the fantastic work that you guys do down there in the chat. And then thank you so much to the best chat in the world here. Blunt Politics, Boston Bryant. I'm signing out. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Slava Ukraina, Chingala Migra, fuck Donald Trump, all the rest of it. We love you. Welcome to the opposition. Welcome to the resistance. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. I'm Boston Bryant. I'm out of here. The Jerky Boys were my favorite. I fucking loved the Jerky Boys.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real? God bless the United States. For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. Kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. To officially name the undisputed, when did this come out? They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated?
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable, I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a...
Go fuck yourself.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
What in the hell was that all about?
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
He says rectum
damn near killed him. Taking him back to Nevada where he's wanted for banging horses. I'm just dandy. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants. I say mud, I said crud. You fall into some crud or something?
Call them dumps, big massive dumps. Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off, they're too bright, turn them off!
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Вітаю, Бостон Браун. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Standing up here bashing the living shit out of Nazis.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.